Elizabeth, age 6. Elizabeth Elikia, 6. Chapter 32. Location, Palma, Spain. Time, almost 7 years after abduction. In the years that followed, no progress was made on Samantha's murder or Elizabeth's abduction. Jonathan became more active in his family's life. He intended to never let anything happen to them again. His family continued to study the art of the 7 dragons and gymnastics with the best trainers. While Nana homeschooled his children, Jonathan arranged for the best tutors to teach them new languages, advanced mathematics, and applied sciences. He was trying to make them invulnerable. No matter how hard he pushed them, they remained happy, playful, and loyal to each other. Mentally and physically, Jonathan's children remained far beyond other children of the same age. He would constantly receive remarks from friends and strangers about how tall his children were for their ages. The children often traveled with their father. This was one of the most significant benefits of homeschooling. Not to mention that the child's role model tends to be his or her parent and not his or her friends from school. Jonathan loved having the children with him, even though the 3 of them occasionally got into things they shouldn't.
"Stop! Stop! Thief!"
called a voice from the street. Rebecca wasn't sure what startled her most. The fact that someone was actually being robbed in this beautiful little villa, or the fact that someone was yelling in English. It had been some time since she had heard anyone other than her family speaking in English. Even then, it was only in brief. The boys were surprised as well. The island of Palma de Mallorca wasn't exactly a top 10 tourist destination for US citizens. Although it was extremely beautiful and the Cathedral of Santa Maria or Lascaux was breathtaking, the island was known more as a European vacation spot. "Must be British," the Set siblings thought. The boys ran to the window of the second-floor apartment where they had been diligently studying all day.
"Help! Police! He's stolen my handbag!"
A frantic older woman was yelling hysterically. The boys saw a man running down the street away from the small cafe in the square under the apartment. He had a large handbag in his arms. Jacob and Matthew looked at one another and smiled. "Oh no," Rebecca said quietly. She had seen that look before, and so had Nana, who had just walked into the room to see what was causing the commotion. Rebecca tried to stop her brothers.
"Boys, no!"
Rebecca cried out, but it was too late. Off the balcony they went. Chapter 33. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction. Out of the corner of her eye, Elizabeth saw a dagger tumbling toward her out of the darkness. Its blade sliced through the air. She could feel the air separating, grasping at the blade, trying to hold it back. But this only succeeded in creating the slightest of sounds, metal scraping a still wind. Although she knew the blade was fast approaching, she wasn't ready to move, not just yet. Her left foot was already in the air, on its way back from connecting with the head of one of her opponents. At the same time, her right foot traveled upward to make sure he would not get up once his head met the floor. She would have to be fast about it, though. After all, there was the matter of the approaching dagger. Chapter 34. Location, Palma, Spain. Time, almost 7 years after abduction. Matthew and Jacob landed on the canopy below their apartment's balcony, caught the side with their hands, flipped over, and swung down to the tables below. Jacob landed on a table where 2 distracted Italians, a man, and his presumed girlfriend, were having a meal together. Unfortunately, Jacob inadvertently knocked over one of their glasses.
Sorry.
He yelled as he started after Matthew. The latter had ended his descent by landing on an unoccupied table and taken off after the thief. Jacob could hear the man whose meal he had interrupted yell something in Italian that loosely translated to, "What are you doing?" Perhaps it was a little more coloured with profanities, but Jacob never bothered to translate those words in his mind. He thought it better not to let those types of things into his mind. Once it's in there, it's hard to get out, Jacob's father had told him. Off they went like two gazelles, jumping and dodging through narrow alleyways and back streets. The thief was fast, but the brothers were gaining on him. They noticed that the thief looked to see who was chasing him. But as he turned back around, he nearly crashed into an old man with a cart. Without missing a step or slowing down, the thief used a small stool in front of the old man's cart to launch himself into the air, clearing the cart but barely missing the old man himself. Finally, he landed as fluidly as he had taken off. As he looked back again, he slowed for a moment as he saw Jacob and Matthew coming down the alley.
They are small. I can take them,
the thief thought while turning the corner.
but there are two of them.
He decided it was best to consider the two boys a danger.
I've never been caught before.
The thief thought. However, it usually was the police or a victim that tried to follow him. These two children were agile.
Could they actually catch up to me? They aren't as fat as the police officers.
The thief turned again and again, going down narrow alleyways and then ducking into the back of a small flower shop. He was caught off guard by one of the employees who dropped a vase when she saw him. But he reacted with lightning speed. He slid to his knees, caught the vase, and slid into the front of the store. Then he stood up just as swiftly, and as he jumped over the counter, he set the vase down and used it to help him clear the table sitting in front of the counter. Without looking back, he was soon out of the front of the shop and into the street. He stopped somewhere near the cathedral a few minutes later.
I need to catch my breath. I lost the two small ones,
thought the thief.
I must get back to the warehouse.
What's he doing?
Jacob whispered to his brother.
See, I was right.
Matthew answered.
He hasn't checked the bag once to see what's in it. He must be working for someone else.
The boys had done an excellent job of making sure the thief could see them following him and then letting him think he had lost them.
Look at the clothes,
Jacob whispered. Matthew nodded. The clothes were old and ragged, baggy, khaki-coloured pants with a stain as if the thief had been standing or working in water, a shirt, a vest that fit somewhat loosely, and a hat that concealed most of the young man's face and hair. What really caught their attention was the $80 pair of shoes that the thief was wearing. They didn't fit with the rest of the outfit.
Perhaps the shoes were stolen as well,
the boys thought.
Definitely working for someone else,
Matthew replied. The boys followed the thief to a large warehouse at the docks near the southeastern end of the city. The building didn't seem run down. It was clearly being used for business. The medium-built young man entered the building through a window at the back. The boys, as usual, did not hesitate to follow. Through the window, they went. It was dark and dirty. They could see crates stacked high, but it was so dim that they couldn't make out any of the writing on the crates. The twins found it odd that there were no sounds from machinery, and there did not seem to be any workers around. It was just a large warehouse with lots of crates. They heard voices in the distance and decided to move in for a closer look. In the middle of the warehouse floor, light falling through a broken window landed on two people. One was the thief. The other was about the same height. But the boys couldn't make out his face because he was wearing a hood. The boys jumped out into the open, thinking they would surprise the two thieves. But the two thieves started laughing, and the lights in the warehouse came on. The boys were quickly surrounded by 15 teenage boys, all laughing as if to say,
"You made a big mistake coming here."
The leader of the group raised his hand, and the others became silent. It was apparent to the thieves that the brothers were not from the island. The leader spoke in a language that Jacob couldn't quite put his finger on. He looked at Matthew and shrugged. Matthew mouthed the word,
Portuguese.
to his brother. Jacob looked impressed. Although he couldn't speak the language, he got the point. The leader was commanding his followers to teach the boys a lesson. The boys smiled, and Matthew responded in Portuguese.
Don't you think 15 against 2 is a little unfair?
The group of thieves was startled, either because Matthew was speaking their language or because of his bold statement, but the twins didn't care why. Startled was what they needed to gain the advantage. Jacob added,
Maybe you should get a few more friends just to make it more fun.
At least that's what he tried to say. Matthew turned to Jacob and whispered,
Close enough.
With an angry look, the leader of the band of thieves called out.
"Get them!"
As his followers started attacking the twins, the leader and the purse thief turned and walked away into the darkness of the warehouse. Chapter 35. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction. As her feet landed solidly on the ground, Elizabeth decided that it was time to do something about the dagger heading toward the back of her head.
I could move to the left,
She thought.
but then the poor guy in front of me might get hurt by the dagger. I could duck, but that could allow someone to catch me off guard. I know.
She thought. She jumped and committed to a full twist in the air. Once she was airborne, she turned her head to see the dagger, which was fast approaching. In her mind, she slowed the turning of the dagger, identifying the handle and grabbing it with her left hand. Before she landed, she concealed the dagger behind her. Elizabeth was fast. To her foes, it looked as if the dagger had simply vanished from thin air. As her feet landed on the floor, one of her attackers attempted to seize the moment. He advanced to strike her with his fist. She quickly met his fist with her own, which sent a shockwave through the attacker's body, dislocated his shoulder, and sent him backward and to the ground.
Move swiftly to an end.
Elizabeth remembered her teacher's words. She looked left to find the person she believed to be the leader of the attack. Then, in what seemed to be a fraction of a second, she moved into his path as he attempted to move to a more secure position. He hadn't noticed the dagger behind her back. She grabbed his arm and threw him against the door. She then positioned his arm up high and surprised him with the dagger, driving it through the arm of his jacket and through the door. The dagger's handle trapped his arm securely against the door, and he was immobilized.
You can have your dagger back,
She said. As she turned to look around the room, there was no one left standing. She could only hear moaning from the 15 men who had attacked her. This was followed by a familiar voice, accompanied by the sound of heavy hands clapping together.
Well done, Elizabeth. Well done.
In the 7 years of her life, Elizabeth had become quite skilled. She was advanced in many languages, with a heavy emphasis on historical languages, and well-versed in applied sciences and mathematics. But the majority of Elizabeth's life was spent learning current and ancient techniques in martial arts. Her body was toned as well as any top athlete. Her senses were finely tuned. Although she was only 7, she possessed the body of a 10-year-old, the mind of a scholar, and the spiritual maturity of the most respectable clergy member. But she felt that something was wrong. The twins from her dreams were in trouble, but she didn't understand why it troubled her so much. They were just dreams after all. Chapter 36. Location: Palma, Spain. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Incoming!
Matthew warned Jacob.
Got him!
Replied Jacob as he grabbed a heavy-set young man by the arm and hurled him into a slender, taller attacker. Jacob noted that the taller young man was wearing pants that weren't quite long enough. In fact, they were all wearing torn and dirty clothes. This was not at all common for the area.
Why do I always get the fat ones?
He thought. The flying boy let out a great yell as he landed on top of his friend. Jacob noticed another attacker fast approaching from the rear. He delivered a perfectly executed roundhouse kick that knocked the man off of his feet and twirled him in the air.
Not today!
He called as he watched the attacker hit the floor, landing face down. Suddenly, 3 of the hoodlums started after Matthew. They were each about the same height, 5'2". Each had ragged, patched clothing and very nice shoes. The boy in the middle yelled something that sounded like a war cry. Matthew smiled and turned to run. Several feet in front of him, he saw a large crate. The 3 attacking boys followed, gaining on Matthew with every step. Matthew jumped toward the crate while running at full speed as if intending to climb the large wooden box. Then, he launched himself into the air by kicking off one of the crossbeams running the width of the box. As the attackers gained on his position, Matthew executed an incredible spinning kick. Before they could comprehend what was happening, the 3 boys were on the floor, each with throbbing head pain, one falling unconscious. Matthew stopped behind the 3 boys and smiled. He had been practicing that move for months. He turned to find his brother and saw someone about to hit Jacob from behind with a very large piece of wood.
Jacob, duck!
He yelled, running to help his brother. Jacob ducked immediately. He trusted Matthew without question, and he also trusted his own senses. He had mastered the skills of a dragon of the air and could sense the air behind him. It was as if the parting of the air was screaming out to him. As he ducked, he heard the air above him being forced apart. He rolled forward to distance himself from the attack. There was another person in front of Jacob. He decided to cut the attacker down to size with a scissor kick, completely knocking the young man off of his feet.
Gotcha!
He proclaimed. Matthew was flying through the air again by the time Jacob had brought yet another thief to the ground. He needed to disarm the young man with the weapon before someone got hurt. Up and over a small crate he went, giving a war cry similar to the one he had just heard.
Confuse the enemy,
he thought, remembering the words of the Dragon of Invisibility. The young man with the weapon looked up, his eyes opened wide.
Oh no!
He thought, and that was the last thing he would remember about the day.
Lights out!
Matthew said as he delivered a devastating blow to the very large boy, rendering him unconscious. The sound of another gang member hitting the floor unnerved the few who were still attacking. But it was not over yet. They still outnumbered Matthew and Jacob. Bohambat, or Bob, as other members of the gang called him, was second in command. He couldn't understand how 2 children were causing his team so much trouble. They were warriors, not flunkies. They had taken on members of the police with fewer problems. The teacher would not look mercifully on him if they were severely beaten with nothing to show for it. Losing was not an option. His life depended on it.
Go? Now?
He commanded those who were still conscious.
Finish them!
Immediately, as if a switch had been turned on in their minds, the remainder of the gang of thieves turned their focus toward Matthew and Jacob. Their narrowed eyes told a story of hatred. Chapter 37. Location: Palma, Spain. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Teacher,
Said one of the figures in the shadows.
please allow me to help them.
No.
The teacher answered. His voice was cold and slow.
Let them prove their worthiness.
The cold voice ended with a long hiss. The teacher was a tall, dark, and ruthless being. He was cold and calculating. Some thought his singular purpose in life was to break a child's will and turn them into an obedient slave, thus ultimately creating a killer. Some referred to him as the soul stealer. Others thought it best not to refer to him at all, but his students referred to him as the teacher. Jackson knew not to question the teacher. The last person who questioned him was Jackson's predecessor. What was left of Reg was found in a dumpster the next day.
Discarded like trash.
Jackson pushed the thought from his mind. Jackson had seen unspeakable things in his lifetime. At a very young age, the syndicate took him from his mother, a prostitute in New York City. Jackson was a fast learner and a skilled fighter. Even though he was only a teenager, his name was known within the upper hierarchy of the syndicate. Most considered him to be a promising protege, upwardly mobile as management put it. So he was assigned to the teacher to be trained in the ways of the dark arts. The teacher usually only accepted one student at a time, but on occasion he accepted two. After Raj's unfortunate end, there was only one again. If you survived the teacher's training, you were considered a graduate. The teacher was also charged with the children who could not be sold into slavery or prostitution. In other words, if no one else in the world wanted you, then you became the property of the teacher. These children became thieves and assassins. They were not cared about or taken care of. They were just used and taught obedience in the harshest of ways. They were taught the pleasure of success and the pain of failure. For each of them, hope was crushed and replaced with hatred for anyone outside of the gang. Sometimes referred to as a death squad, they often picked up new members off the street, teens who had run away from home, misfits whose lives were headed in the wrong direction, and so forth. The syndicate was not in the business of babysitting. It was in the business of selling children. Chapter 38. Location: Palma, Spain. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. Delivering multiple blows was Matthew's specialty. He simply stepped inside an attacker's reach, under their swing, and then delivered 7 blows to the ribcage while backing away, using the person's own momentum against them. This allowed the attacker's forward motion to continue, so that when Matthew was finished delivering the 7 blows of the dragon's claw, the attacker's momentum directed them to the floor. But that wasn't the end. Matthew would then deliver a knee to the midsection of his attacker, which, when delivered correctly, would send the person's body spiraling to the floor. This was very disorienting and painful for the opponent.
Dude, that was sweet!
Jacob called out to Matthew after witnessing the 7 blows of the dragon's claw performed flawlessly.
You have got to help me practice that.
Before Matthew could reply, he noticed that he was about to be crushed by a crate. In fact, someone was attempting to knock over a stack of crates on top of him. As he moved out of the way, he realized that the boy that he had just devastated would not be able to make it clear of the crates on his own. He quickly grabbed the boy's foot and dragged him as fast as he could. As the crates crashed to the floor, Matthew thanked God that he was able to save the young man's life. But before Matthew could ask if he was okay, the young man kicked Matthew with all his might.
Payback!
The young man said as Matthew fell into a pile of boxes. Matthew was not happy about this.
How's that for gratitude?
He said. He hurried to his feet along with the boy whose life he had just saved.
Now I'm taking you down!
The boy taunted. Matthew was mad, but he thought back to his lessons at the House of the Seven Dragons.
Do not strike in anger.
He thought. With a powerful movement, he transformed himself. Pounding his foot on the floor, his position changed into the waiting dragon, one of the hundreds of stances his mentors had taught him. A thin cloud of dust leapt from the floor and from his clothes as if in slow motion. His arms, one in front and one in back, beckoned his opponent to come forward. He was focused. He was calm. The room became silent to him, and he could hear his opponent's heart beating faster. 2 more young men joined their cohort. One was the size of a small house. They taunted Matthew, but he could not hear these insults. He only heard their hearts. Matthew noticed that the heart rate of the boy he had just saved increased in speed as the boy took a step forward. But Matthew did not move. He was calm and more focused than he had ever been. The smaller boy advanced as well. The largest of the 3 stood his ground as if he was the backup. There was a loud yell as the 2 boys rushed Matthew. The yell as they both flew across the room was even louder. The 2 of them never even saw the punches that Matthew had thrown. And now, only the large boy remained. His eyes were opened wide from witnessing Matthew's devastation of his 2 friends. He too had not seen Matthew's punch or kick for that matter. Matthew smiled.
Come and get some,
he said, knowing that he wouldn't have to lay a hand on the towering teenager. Suddenly, the large boy fell to his knees and then flat on his face. After the dust cleared, Jacob waved at Matthew and put down the 2x4 that he had just used. Matthew smiled again and said,
"The bigger they are,
Chapter 39. Location, Palma, Spain. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Go.
Jackson commanded from above. The thief that the twins had chased through the city to this warehouse handed the stolen purse to Jackson, turned, and jumped over the railing of the metal beam. Landing on a stack of crates 10 feet below, the thief jumped again to an adjacent stack of crates. Finally, leaping to a chain and swinging to the floor below, he landed in front of Jacob and caught him by surprise.
now they're falling out the sky?
Jacob asked sarcastically. The thief's face was still hidden by a hood and a scarf.
You'll be sorry you followed me here.
It was hard to make out the words, but Jacob understood.
Not as sorry as you'll be,
he replied. The 2 were in striking distance of each other, but Jacob did not want to throw the first blow. This was the person he wanted to capture. He wanted answers, and he wanted the stolen purse.
Hand over the purse,
he said. The thief replied with a flurry of attacks. Hand, foot, hand, foot. Jacob backed away with each attack, dodging, countering, blocking, and punching. The thief was fast, but Jacob was faster. The thief kept driving Jacob back, but Jacob was aware of his surroundings. It played out like a choreographed dance. The thief swept left, and Jacob would jump to avoid him. The thief swung high and Jacob bent backward. The thief kicked and Jacob would deflect. The thief performed a double roundhouse and Jacob countered with a backflip or two. As the two danced around the floor in a fighting ballet, Jacob decided that he had finally had enough, so he ended it. As the thief stepped closer this time, Jacob didn't move. He countered with a roundhouse and sent the thief flying up, around, and down. The thief let out a high-pitched scream before crashing to the floor and generating a cloud of dust. Chapter 40. Location: Palma, Spain. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
They have failed us.
The teacher hissed.
Yes, teacher.
Jackson replied with disapproval.
It is time to go.
The teacher's voice was deep and cold, and his words were drawn out.
The police are on the way, and we must move the cryptographer.
Yes, teacher.
Jackson said again, obediently. Jackson and the teacher exited the warehouse unnoticed, as if they simply vanished into thin air. Chapter 41. Location: Palma, Spain. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. Sirens sounded outside the warehouse. From the sound of it, there were a lot of police cars coming their way. The two gang members that Matthew was engaged with started running toward the back window to escape. Matthew decided to let them go since his brother had the thief. As the two young men ran out of sight, past a collection of large crates, Jacob and Matthew heard a large commotion, some yelling, and finally 2 loud thuds. They looked at each other and smiled.
Come on out, Rebecca!
They both said at the same time. She made her appearance, as always, in a grand fashion. That was Rebecca's way.
I called the police when I saw you go through the window. Oh, and Daddy's on his way too.
Rebecca said, smiling.
You called Dad?
The twins said.
Oh boy.
Get off me.
Said a voice from under a hood.
Let me up.
The voice demanded. The boys were shocked. It was a female voice. Had they been following her the entire time?
You're a girl!
Jacob said.
Of course I'm a girl, you fool.
She replied.
Now let me go.
Sorry, can't do that.
Jacob said just as the police were entering the warehouse. Chapter 42. Location: Temple of Light. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
2 more. 2 more have been killed and 1 is now missing. It is only a matter of time before we are discovered. We must move her. It is not safe here any longer.
The monk whispered. It wasn't his intention to show panic, but it was apparent. Elizabeth's sense of hearing was blessed and far beyond the capabilities of others. She listened as one of the Temple of Light's elders attempted to whisper to Munir, her mentor, who had brought Elizabeth to this place so many years ago.
No, we cannot leave. Where would we go?
Munir paused, knowing that Elizabeth could hear the conversation as clear as if she was standing right beside him.
No, everything is as it was foretold.
Munir gestured to the elder to go and then turned and walked toward Elizabeth.
How do you feel?
Munir asked. Elizabeth had been meditating and praying to God for over an hour now. This was normal for her on any given day. In fact, some days she meditated for hours. Munir wasn't worried because she was meditating. He was concerned because of her training session. It was the dagger that troubled him. the way she had driven it through the door. He sensed that she was bothered.
I feel fine.
Elizabeth answered.
Why do you ask?
Muna answered as any father would answer his daughter.
I just want you to know that I'm here if you need to talk.
Munir had raised Elizabeth since the time he brought her to the temple. He was all she had ever known as a parent. But she was older now, and he was concerned for her.
I will be in the library if you need me.
He made it as far as the door.
Who am I?
She asked with a tear in one of her eyes. Chapter 43. Location, Palma, Spain. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Why aren't these two boys in restraints?
The officer in charge was a large-bellied man who was very short on patience, especially with children. He had been on the scene for 5 minutes, and he had already yelled at nearly everyone in the warehouse.
But sir, they are the ones who captured this gang of thieves.
A junior officer replied.
Yeah, we kicked all of their butts and captured the thief who stole that lady's purse.
Matthew said proudly. The police had been on the scene for over 2 hours by this time. They had taken all of the young thieves into custody, but some were still on the premises. Matthew and Jacob were told to sit quietly and assigned a police guard, so to speak. It appeared that everyone had been waiting for the higher-ups to arrive on the scene before any real decisions could be made. Rebecca was with the boys, and she had no problem reminding them more than once that their father was on his way. The officer in charge said,
As far as I'm concerned, you broke into this warehouse just like these other pieces of gutter trash. Put these two in the back of my car and shoot them if they try to escape.
His belly shook as he shouted out orders. But there was no mistaking his authority. The stars on his shoulders and the eagle on his hat told the entire story. And he was in a very bad mood. The boys looked at each other and surrendered to the junior officer.
Dad's going to kill us,
said Jacob.
Yeah, I know,
Matthew replied. The junior officer valued his job and did not want to go back to traffic duty. Better to keep my mouth shut, he thought. Heads down, Jacob and Matthew left with their escort. When the boys were out of sight, the officer in charge turned to see Rebecca standing in shock at what had happened. Her 2 brothers had just been arrested, and she had called the police. The expression on her face was unquestionable uncertainty. The large-bellied man broke out into a hearty laugh.
Did you see the look on their faces? Ha, ha, ha!
Rebecca was more confused than ever by the officer's laughter, and a little taken aback by the bouncing of his belly.
Why are you laughing?
She boldly asked.
This isn't funny.
It's okay, Rebecca,
he told her. Rebecca was shocked that he knew her name. She hadn't told him, and she was sure that no one else had mentioned it. The officers around her started laughing as well.
I am the chief of police and a very good friend of your father. Jonathan wanted to teach the boys a little lesson. He's outside, waiting for them in my car. Come, let's go.
Rebecca was relieved and happy. It had been some time since her father had played a good joke on the boys. And this time, they deserved it.
Okay,
she said, and they all walked out of the warehouse. Chapter 44. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Such a grown-up question for such a young girl.
Munir put his hand on Elizabeth's head as if to reassure her.
You are the chosen one,
he said.
She who was chosen.
To stand for light against the dark. Yes, I know all of that, but please.
She implored,
Tell me who I am. I look into the faces of everyone here, and I don't see me. Who are my parents? Where did I come from?
Munir nodded his head and spoke with a gentle voice.
Worry not about these things. All of your questions will be answered soon. It becomes more apparent each day that the time of the prophecy is drawing near.
Munir knew that Elizabeth wasn't taking this answer well. He put his hand on her shoulder.
Meditate. Ask God to reveal these things to you when the time is right. Ask him to guide your heart in this matter, and all will be clear.
Munir knew that Elizabeth would do as he instructed. Her faith was strong. She believed that God had already sent her visions. She knew in her heart that she had a family somewhere out there. But she had not shared this with Munir.
Maybe now is the time,
she thought.
He gives me dreams,
she said. Chapter 45. Location, Palma, Spain. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
I'm sorry about this, boys. The chief is, well, I'm sure it will work out for you. Get in the car.
The escorting officer said.
And watch your heads, please.
Yes, sir.
The boys sadly replied in unison.
Why so down, boys?
Said a voice from the front of the car. The boys lit up with mixed emotions.
Dad?
They both asked.
Oh man, you got us good,
Jacob said.
You sure did,
added Matthew.
I thought we were going to jail.
You might wish that you had gone to jail,
Jonathan replied in an ominous voice. The boys didn't know whether to take this as a joke or if they were really in trouble. They were heroes, weren't they?
Didn't we have a talk about the two of you running around in foreign countries, acting like FBI agents, trying to solve crimes and fighting dangerous criminals?
His voice got louder and more intense.
You forgot following people into really dark buildings,
Rebecca added. She had silently made her way to the car and was leaning against her father's window, listening in as usual.
Rebecca!
Jonathan didn't even look at her. He knew she'd get the point.
Sorry, you don't need my help with this one, Daddy,
Rebecca respectfully replied. Jonathan continued scolding the boys.
And I know I told you never to follow people into really dark buildings.
Rebecca was right. He had forgotten to add that part.
But Dad, you should have seen us.
Matthew interjected.
Did I say you could speak?
Jonathan said.
You're both grounded for life. What did you think you were doing?
Jonathan asked. The boys didn't speak.
Answer me when I ask you a question,
Jonathan said forcefully.
To be fair,
the chief said softly.
You did say they couldn't speak.
Jonathan gave the chief the not now look, and he slowly withdrew his head from the window. Rebecca had been thinking about saying the same thing and was now glad that she hadn't.
Well, we saw the...
I don't want to hear it,
Jonathan said. This confused the boys even more. Grounded for life, Dad isn't making sense. He must really be mad at us, they thought.
But Dad...
Matthew started.
Didn't I just say you couldn't speak?
Jonathan replied. The chief glanced at Rebecca, who was shaking her head as a warning. He decided not to interject anything else.
But the other criminals...
Jacob interjected.
What other criminals?
Jonathan's tone changed.
There were 2 other bad guys in the top part of the warehouse. We think they got away.
Matthew explained.
We just don't know how.
We do,
the chief of police said. He was glad to have the opportunity to talk again. In fact, about 7 people were listening in on the scolding.
The young lady you captured told us all we need to know. We've been trying to catch this ring of thieves and their boss for over a year now. And it would have taken another year if not for the 2 of you. So you were actually...
He paused as Jonathan looked up at him.
Well, heroes.
Jonathan put his head down. The boy's eyes lit up, and Rebecca put her head in her hands.
Not again,
she said. Jonathan shook his head and smiled.
You're not helping,
he said.
Oh, sorry, my friend,
the chief said with a smile.
All right, out of the car,
Jonathan said to the boys. As the boys climbed out of the car, Jacob was surprised by what he saw. The girl he had just captured stood in front of him, and she wasn't wearing handcuffs.
What are you doing here?
He asked.
Did they cut you a deal or something?
No,
she replied.
I work for the police. I was undercover, little guy.
Kids work for the police here?
Jacob said.
I'm no child,
she said.
I'm 23.
Jacob didn't know what to say. She certainly didn't look any older than his sister, so he just smiled and apologized.
Well, I'm sorry for kicking sorry for hitting you.
That's okay, little guy,
she replied.
You two did a good job in there. They were on to me for sure. You just got me out of a very bad situation. The syndicate would have surely done away with me.
Okay, let's get you three back to the hotel. Nana's probably worried sick,
Jonathan said, trying to cut the conversation short. But it was too late.
You mean the syndicate?
Matthew said, jumping into the conversation.
That's the case you're here for, isn't it, Dad?
Jonathan was surprised. How could Matthew know what case he was here to work on?
Rebecca.
Rebecca had already started to tiptoe away. The syndicate had been Jonathan's case for more than a decade now, but he didn't want the children to know about it. He didn't want them to know that the syndicate was responsible for the abduction of hundreds of children worldwide, or that they used the children as thieves, assassins, and slaves. Plus, Jonathan had hoped to find new information about his own missing child while he was here.
All right, everyone back to the hotel, now,
Jonathan demanded.
Jonathan!
The captain called out as the Set family made their way to the car.
You have a beautiful family, very tall for their ages. What are you feeding them?
Thanks, Cappy,
Jonathan replied.
Take it easy on the heroes.
The captain added with a huge smile and a big laugh. Everyone waved goodbye. That night, Jonathan, Nana, and the children packed everything up. When morning came, the Set family left for home. Chapter 46. Location: Jacksonville International Airport. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
I sure am glad we'll get to spend a few days in our own beds,
Rebecca said to Nana.
Yes, it is always nice to return home,
she replied.
Good old sunny Jacksonville, Florida,
Jacob shouted out with joy.
Oh, I could kiss the ground!
Matthew followed his dramatic brother's lead. Just then, they all heard a familiar but unwelcome buzzing sound coming from their father's jacket pocket. His phone was vibrating.
Don't answer it, Dad,
Rebecca exclaimed.
We're almost home, Dad.
The boys added, still being dramatic.
My bed is calling me. Don't answer it, please.
Children, stop it,
Nana said, even though she was thinking the same thing.
Agent Set,
Jonathan answered.
Oh, man,
Jacob said, putting his head down.
Put the luggage back on the plane.
Matthew said.
Hey, Rick, what's up? We just landed a few minutes ago.
Maybe it's not that bad,
Rebecca told her brothers.
It's just Uncle Rick.
Hi, Uncle Rick,
the boys said cheerfully. Their father gave them the shh gesture.
Say that again, Rick. The Vatican? When? How many?
This is bad, the children all thought. Their father was using his serious voice. They commonly referred to this voice as the I'm on it voice because whenever he used this voice, he always ended with,
I'm on it. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Jonathan hung up the phone and turned to his family to see an array of very long, tired faces.
What?
He asked.
Daddy, we want to go home,
Rebecca said.
That's exactly where you're headed,
Jonathan replied, and the children's faces turned from frowns to smiles.
We just need to stop by the office first,
he added, and the smiles changed back to frowns.
What?
He said with a grin on his face. They packed up the van and headed for the FBI office in beautiful downtown Jacksonville. Although the children wanted to go home, they knew that this was a chance to see Uncle Rick. It only took a short while to get downtown from the airport, but it was long enough to listen to a few songs on the Jesus Freak CD. It was the only CD Jonathan listened to, and he played it over and over. His kids didn't seem to mind. Their heads bopped, and they usually rapped along with Toby Mac, especially when he rapped about the big fat belly. Rick met Jonathan and the children in the lobby of the Jacksonville FBI headquarters, welcoming 3 big hugs and smiles. 4, if you counted Nana's half smile.
Hey, how's my favorite family in the whole entire world?
He gave each of the kids a big hug.
And speaking of that, where in the world did your dad drag you this time?
Okay. I get enough of it as it is. I don't need you helping them out,
Jonathan said with a smile on his face.
Whose partner are you anyway?
I'm just kidding,
Rick replied as he turned his attention to Jacob and Matthew.
And how are the 2 international heroes doing today?
Jonathan put his hands on his head.
Great.
He mumbled and heard an echo from Rebecca.
You should have seen us, Uncle Rick. We were awesome. There were 100 of them.
The boys were on a roll. Finally, someone wanted to hear their wonderful tale.
100?
Rick played along.
I heard there were 150, and they were all black belts.
Fortunately, the elevator doors opened on the 7th floor, and Jonathan was able to escape, as was Rebecca. He started down the hall for his office. As he walked away, he could hear the story getting louder and louder. Other agents passed him as swiftly as they could in hopes of hearing the story of the fantastic battle. As he closed the door to his office, he heard one final voice saying,
I helped too.
In actuality, Rick knew what he was doing. By making the story more sensational, none of the other agents would ever believe it was true, but they all loved to hear good stories. For this, Jonathan was grateful. The last thing he needed was someone asking why he would take his children on a major case. There was a folder on the desk. As he walked toward it, he could feel himself growing anxious. Could this be the link he was looking for after all of these years? Or was it just another dead end? He had been disappointed many times before. But as he had matured spiritually, he began to set his mind on the positive and not the negative. He had come to realize that the battle to find his youngest daughter would ultimately be won or lost in his mind. Through the help of his pastor's teachings, he learned that a healthy, prosperous, and sound soul would produce a sound life and allow him to make sound decisions. For many months after his daughter was taken and his wife was murdered, he couldn't even look at himself in a mirror. He was filled with disappointment and feelings of failure. But now, he started every morning in prayer and set his mind for victory. He looked at the envelope again, closed his eyes and prayed,
Lord God, I am ready if it is your time.
Chapter 47. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Munir! Munir!
A distant voice echoed through the crystal-like hallways of the Temple of Light.
Munir!
The voice cried again. It grew closer and closer with each call. A small man ran down the hall, frantically trying to catch up with Munir,
Yes, Michael, what is it?
Munir tried not to seem upset by all of the commotion.
Another has fallen.
Michael responded. He was panting hard, seemingly about to pass out.
Who?
Munir asked.
Who has fallen?
Michael fell to his knees.
Dominique.
He replied with all the breath he could muster.
Dominique.
He repeated as tears fell from his eyes. Dominique was a key part of the infrastructure of the organization. The capture or death of Dominique could cause significant problems, and Munir knew it. He was worried but felt calm.
The time is near indeed,
Munir whispered.
We must prepare. Gather the warriors from far and near. The temple must be protected. The chosen one must not be harmed. Gather the priests to pray. God's will be done.
Munir turned away from Michael.
Hurry, there is no time to waste,
he ordered.
Munir, where are you going?
Michael asked.
I must speak with the chosen one,
he replied as he disappeared into the light. Chapter 48. Location: FBI headquarters, Jacksonville, Florida. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Dear Special Agent Set, please accept my personal greeting as well as greetings from the Vatican. I am Angelina Giordano, and I'm responding to a request you made some time ago for information concerning a tattoo. I was not in this position 6 years ago when you made your request, but my predecessor chose to hold on to your letter and pass it on to me to hold until such a time as this. I am writing this letter to you in order to make you aware that we have positively identified multiple individuals with markings on their person, matching the photographs you supplied with your request. Over the last 3 weeks, the Roman, Athens, Venice, and Cannes police have closed several cases as suicides or accidental deaths. Each of the deceased had a tattoo matching the photo sent by you.
Jonathan paused.
Why is the Vatican tracking police reports? And why didn't the FBI know of these deaths?
He wondered. He knew the answers to these questions didn't really matter. This was it, the lead he had been waiting for.
Praise God,
he said out loud as he sat down at his desk and almost broke into tears. Jonathan had been praying for a breakthrough for nearly 7 years. Every day, without exception, since the day he had awakened from his coma. He never gave up hope and never stopped trusting God. He continued reading the letter.
Attached, you will find a copy of the police reports I mentioned. I hope that this information is helpful to you. I know that it has been a very long time since your request. Finally, I must say that the Vatican holds a special interest in this matter. One of the deaths I mentioned above was a priest named Dominique De Genario, my predecessor and mentor. My office is at your disposal, and if you need any assistance, please do not hesitate to call me at the numbers listed below. Though I have no right to ask, I would appreciate it if you let me know of your findings. In the service of Christ, Angelina Giordano, head of Vatican Historical Artifact Department, Archivio Segreto Vaticano.
Jonathan put the letter down and picked up the pile of police reports.
You know, we might have caught these ourselves if old Percy was still here,
said a voice from the doorway.
Director,
Jonathan said, startled. He hadn't even heard the door open.
Rick filled me in this morning,
Jonathan's boss answered.
I suppose this means you'll need to take a few days' leave.
Jonathan smiled.
I was trying to think of a way to ask, sir.
Well, I can't authorize any leave at this time,
the director replied.
So you'll just have to go in an official capacity.
Jonathan's eyes lit up.
Thank you, sir. I'll have Rita get my travel arrangements in order.
No need to,
the director replied.
I had her make arrangements for you this morning. Keep me up to date.
He turned to leave and then stopped.
Oh, and I had her put your children on the same flight since they are going to be vacationing there anyway, right?
Yes, sir,
Jonathan said. Director Ralston turned around and said,
Don't thank me. I have no recollection of any of this, but I might recall it sometime down the road, provided everything works out okay.
And then the big man with the big heart was gone just as stealthily as he had appeared. Jonathan thought,
God, when you deliver a blessing, you really deliver it.
Chapter 49. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction. As Munir entered the Chosen One's chamber, he knelt and prayed to God.
Holy Father, I give you all the glory, the honor, and the praise. It was written that these days would come upon us. Please steady our hearts as we prepare for the task you have set before us, Lord. We are your servants, and we will protect the Chosen One until our time on this earth is done. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
When he stood to his feet, Elizabeth was beside him.
Is everything okay?
She asked.
We must talk,
he said.
Sounds serious,
she replied.
The time has come for you to know all that has been written. It is time for you to know who you are, Elizabeth.
Munir put his hand on her shoulder and started to tell her about her role in the prophecy of the 7th Elizabeth. They walked to the chapel, which was at the east end of the Temple of Light, where they would remain for a few days.
You are already familiar with the role you must play as the Chosen One. You were chosen to stand.
Yes, I know,
Elizabeth said, and then noting the silence, apologized for the interruption.
Sorry.
It's okay. Now, it is time for you to learn how you came to be here. You see, the day you were born was a joyous day, but also a very sad day.
He continued.
You were born in Jacksonville, Florida.
I was born in the United States. I knew it.
She realized that she had interrupted him again.
Sorry.
Munir smiled and said,
Yes, little Miss Interruption. You were born in the United States. We were sent to make sure that you and your family remained safe during your mother's pregnancy and after your birth.
I have a mother and a family?
Elizabeth thought, resisting the urge to say it out loud.
But,
he continued,
somehow the dark forces were able to set a trap for your mother and father.
Elizabeth's eyes filled with concern.
It was raining hard the morning of your birth. On the way to the hospital, a few blocks away, in fact, one of the dark agents sat waiting for them. He rammed your parents' car with his truck.
In his mind, Munir could see the accident. He could see the truck slam into the passenger's side of the car, lifting it into the air and spinning it through the intersection. Munir closed his eyes. Elizabeth could see the pain in his expression. But Munir continued.
The truck stopped, and the dark agent got out. I believe he was going to make sure your parents were dead, but we arrived first. I was able to stop the dark agent.
He paused as he remembered fighting and killing the dark agent. He recalled telling one of his partners to get rid of the truck and the body. But he did not tell Elizabeth these details.
When I got to the car, your parents were unconscious. I pulled your mother out of the car. She was not doing well, and I feared that she would lose the baby. Lose you, Elizabeth.
Tears streamed down Elizabeth's face. She was silent.
I pulled your father out of the car, and he too was in very bad shape. I did what I could for both of them until I heard the police coming. I hid above the overpass until the others picked me up and took me to the hospital where we knew they would bring your parents.
He lifted his head and saw Elizabeth's tears. Munir's eyes had tears in them as well. His heart went out to her as a father's heart would go out to his child.
When they brought your parents to the hospital, they operated on your mother. On that night, there was only one birth and one death on earth, just as it is written in the prophecy. Your birth and your mother's death,
Elizabeth cried. In a matter of moments, she had gained a family and lost a mother. Muna held her close, and with tears in his own eyes, he gently rocked the almost 7-year-old girl back and forth.
When they brought you to the nursery, I took you and brought you here. Your father recovered from his injuries weeks later, and he was informed that you were abducted. He has been searching for you ever since.
Elizabeth sat up.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
You know why, Elizabeth,
he said.
You are the chosen one. This is a fact that cannot be changed.
I know. I know.
Elizabeth wasn't happy with his answer, but she understood her role.
Soon, Elizabeth, you will be reunited with your family. Very soon indeed.
Muna said.
I have a family,
Elizabeth whispered.
Tell me about them.
Your father's name is Jonathan Sett. He is an FBI agent.
Muna tried to continue, but he was interrupted again.
Get out! My father is an FBI agent? How cool is that?
Well, your brothers think so.
He added quickly.
Brothers?
She said.
I have brothers.
She yelled as she walked in a circle, almost prancing.
And a sister,
he added.
Wait!
She said, stopping in her tracks.
Are my brothers twins?
She asked. Muna was taken aback.
Yes, they are. How did you know that?
He had been surprised by her abilities before, and the gifts of the spirit that God had given her always amazed him.
Are their names Matthew and Jacob?
She asked.
And is my sister's name Rebecca?
How do you know that, Elizabeth?
He asked. He was a little stunned at her level of accuracy.
God has given me dreams about them.
She smiled. It made her happy to see the evidence of God's grace toward her. She bowed her head and thanked God for his loving kindness and tender mercies.
The prophecy says when she closes her eyes, she will be with them. I did not realize that it meant God would send you dreams. Even when you tried to tell me, I did not understand. But I am happy, very happy.
Muna smiled.
You said I would see them soon?
She asked.
I believe this to be true, young Elizabeth. You see, we have hidden you here for the last 7 years, not to keep you away from your family, but to train you to protect yourself and others from agents of the dark, from evil and those who would promote it. We believe that your training is complete, and the prophecy states in so many words that we will be discovered when the chosen one has been properly prepared, and when a perfect number of years has passed.
He paused as she listened intently.
The dark agents are very close to finding this sanctuary. Father Dominique is missing, and if they have him, it will not be long before they find us.
Muna stood.
There is a battle coming, Elizabeth. Your training is now over. We have protected you for 7 years, and now you will need to protect the world. Your path and your father's path must cross, according to the prophecy. We believe that this will be soon. Come, let us go and read together.
Chapter 50. Location: en route to Rome, Italy. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
The captain has just turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. You may now move about the cabin.
The speaker above Rebecca's head was unusually loud.
Can't they turn it down, Nana?
Rebecca complained.
Does it have to be so loud?
Nana nodded in agreement, mainly to keep Rebecca happy.
Yes, Rebecca, it is a little loud, but it will be okay. Concentrate on your assignment, dear.
Yes, Nana.
Rebecca replied as she fought back an urge to press the call button.
You have beautiful children.
The passenger next to Jonathan had been watching the children study since he boarded the plane. Jonathan answered,
Thank you. That's kind of you to say.
And they are so well behaved and diligent.
The middle-aged man added,
I can't get my kids to sit still for 10 minutes, not to mention long enough for them to read a book.
I wish I could take the credit, but their nanny deserves it. She usually assigns the children schoolwork related to wherever we're headed. The lessons in history, geography, politics, and religious customs help the children have a better understanding of the people they will interact with.
Jonathan explained. He could have gone on for hours about his children. The three of them were already fluent in several languages. Jonathan explained to the passenger that the family frequently spoke in French, Spanish, Latin, Japanese, Greek, or Italian. He also shared that at the dinner table, English was no longer allowed. In addition to the languages the children learned for school, they picked up other languages independently. Rebecca learned Portuguese so that she could correspond with a friend she had met in an airport last year. The boys took on an Arabic dialect so they could understand what the clerk at the corner gas station was saying. They had suspected he was talking about them to the other clerk, but they were wrong. He was actually just talking about the same thing the English-speaking clerks talk about.
Very interesting. I didn't study Greek and Latin until I was in seminary. I can't believe they are doing it at this young an age. Very interesting indeed.
The man replied.
Are you a clergy member?
Jonathan asked.
Pastor M. Thomas Jones, the co-pastor of a church in Jacksonville. Most people call me TJ, pastor, or Rev.
The African-American gentleman explained, smiling.
Really, what church?
Jonathan asked after properly introducing himself to the pastor.
First Light.
Pastor Jones replied.
Over in the Bay Meadows area, right off of Interstate 95.
I've seen your church. It's a beautiful building.
Jonathan said.
It's even better once you're inside. If you're ever in the area, stop by for a visit. Say, Sunday morning?
The Reverend smiled.
I just may have to take you up on that when we get back from Italy, Pastor.
Jonathan smiled as well. The Reverend looked over and saw one of the photos in the police report Jonathan had.
Are you a police officer?
He asked.
FBI.
Jonathan replied, sliding the picture back inside the folder.
Wow, FBI. Now I have a story to tell my kids when I return.
The Reverend's children always expected something spectacular when he returned from his travels.
Maybe I should add you and your children to our prayer list.
We can always use an extra prayer, Pastor. Always.
Jonathan replied. They both laughed and went back to what they were doing. Jonathan wasn't much for talking to strangers, but this time he enjoyed it.
Daddy, can we borrow your watch?
The boys asked, startling Jonathan.
My watch?
He glanced up from his folder of papers.
What do you need my watch for?
We need the stopwatch part of it,
Jacob said.
We need to time how long it takes us to break this code.
The boys were avid fans of breaking codes, unraveling riddles, and piecing together clues. Nana had turned them on to a magazine called Cypher. It was full of decryption methodology, nearly impossible puzzles, and other spy-like intrigue.
Yeah, Dad. Jacob says he could break it in less than 10 minutes, but the book says it should take an hour.
Matthew added.
You guys aren't betting again, are you?
Jonathan winked at the boys as he took off his watch.
Well,
they replied.
Okay, put me down for a pack of honey-roasted peanuts on Jacob to win,
Jonathan said with a smile. Jacob smiled as Jonathan patted him on the head.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad,
repeated Matthew as the boys went back to their seats. Being an inquisitive man, TJ didn't let the conversation end there.
Set,
he said, tilting his head.
That means 7 in Italian, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Jonathan hadn't had many people ask him that question. He used to love to explain it to people. He had not really done so since Samantha died, and it was a pleasant memory.
7, the number of completion.
TJ felt led by the Holy Spirit to keep Jonathan speaking.
It's also the number of years I've been searching for my daughter.
Jonathan couldn't believe what had just come out of his mouth. But there was something about the man sitting next to him. Jonathan thought the minister had a special anointing. It was as if they were supposed to meet on this day, at this moment.
Your daughter, what happened?
7 years ago, my wife and I were attacked on our way to St. James Hospital to have our baby. We were blindsided by a truck and left for dead. My wife gave birth, but she didn't survive.
My God, attacked, you say?
TJ asked.
Yes, and while I was recovering in the hospital, my newborn daughter was kidnapped. I've never even held her hand.
Jonathan paused for a moment to collect himself.
I remember that story in the news. My father had the entire church pray for the safe return of your daughter that Sunday morning.
Reverend Jones said.
That was 7 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Listen, my father, Reverend Jones Sr., said this then and still says it now. God will recover for you what he intended you to have. Even if someone has taken it from you, he'll get it back for you at the perfect time.
The kids and I hold on to our faith, Pastor. It keeps us going.
Jonathan said.
Everything in its season, John. God's got a plan. He will return your daughter to you. Count on it and believe it. Speak it every day. I'll definitely be praying for you and your family.
The Reverend went back to reading his magazine. After a while, he pulled out a notebook and started writing a sermon. Jonathan went back to reading the information he had received from the Vatican.
How does it all fit together?
He wondered.
Why would the priest hold my request for so long? And if all of the recent victims had the same tattoo as the man that took Elizabeth, why could I not find them for all these years?
It just didn't add up. For all of these years, he had been sure that the syndicate took his daughter. He had hunted them down for years. But a priest at the Vatican? Everything was so unclear. Had he been wrong? For the first time, he wondered if his obsession with the syndicate was clouding his judgment. Jonathan had so many questions, and the time had finally come for the answers. He was restless.
Can't this plane fly any faster?
He thought.
Done!
Jonathan could barely hear Jacob's voice over the noise from the Boeing 747 engines.
Ah, man.
Matthew wasn't disappointed because he had lost the bet. He was upset because he had already eaten the honey-roasted peanuts he and his brother had bet on.
Keep the volume down, boys.
Jonathan heard Nana say.
Yes, ma'am.
The boys replied. Chapter 51. Location, Ephesus. Time, approximately AD 100.
Please drink.
Zia begged his mentor.
Are you sure you would not like to rest?
No.
The aged man replied as he raised his head and took a sip from the cup that Zia held.
No, I must finish.
Zia set the cup down on the table and picked up his writing tools as John started where he had left off.
For 7 years Elizabeth will live in light, protected from shadows and from darkness. But in the 7th year, the shadow of darkness will find her, and she will begin her long battle to drive back the shadow from whence it came. The shadow comes before the darkness, before the destroyer, and the battle will last for a perfect number of years.
Will one so young be able to handle one so evil?
Zia asked.
She will have God with her, Zia, and...
He paused to smile.
She will have her family.
Chapter 52. Location, Rome, Italy. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Wow, what an awesome room.
Rebecca was very pleased as she walked through the door of her hotel room.
This is bigger than Daddy's room at home. Not that we'd remember what our home looks like.
All right, I get the point.
Jonathan replied.
Nana, can you make sure the children are ready to leave in an hour?
Yes, sir,
she replied.
Rebecca, you're first. Into the shower you go. Boys, take your bags into your room and start getting ready. And don't forget to brush your teeth,
she added.
Where are we going, Nana? We just got here,
Jacob asked.
We're going to the Vatican.
Jonathan answered as he walked back into the suite after tipping the man who brought up the bags from the taxi.
So dress nice, please.
Rebecca squealed with excitement.
Cool,
the boys replied. Rebecca grabbed her suitcase and dragged it into her room. She knew exactly what she'd wear. She always knew what she would be wearing. She had excellent organizational skills. Rebecca laid out her favorite purple pantsuit on the bed, and then she found a matching pair of shoes. Jonathan and Nana watched her from the doorway. Jonathan smiled and turned to Nana.
She's just like her mother,
he said. Then he took a deep breath, sighed, and turned to go check on the boys.
7 years is a long time,
he thought. He missed everything about Samantha, her touch, her smile, and most of all, the endless conversation. The one that started on the day they met and ended on the day she died. All the talk on the plane had made her more present in his mind. Jonathan picked up his attaché case from the table and walked into his room, closing the door behind him. He sat it on the king-size bed and opened it. There it was, God's answer to his prayers in the form of a letter.
A clue,
he thought, a beautiful clue that could lead him to Elizabeth. Would he finally be able to see her face or hold her hand? Would he soon be able to wrap his arms around her for the first time? This letter was a definite ray of hope and a gift from God. He picked up the envelope and took out the letter from the Vatican. He reread it, even though he had memorized every word. When he came to the end, he read the signature out loud.
Angelina Giordano.
He paused and then whispered,
Delivered by an angel, flowing from God.
As he stood, looking at the letter, he recalled the kind pastor's words on the plane.
Everything in its season,
he whispered, and then again. Although he tried not to get his expectations up, he could feel that God was talking to him. This was that season. He was sure that the search for Elizabeth was coming to an end. A knock at the door startled Jonathan.
Come in.
Jacob opened the door and walked in.
Father,
he said with a British accent.
Yes, son.
Jonathan replied with a somewhat less convincing accent.
Are we going to meet the Pope?
Jacob asked, still using his aristocratic accent.
No, Jacob. Not today anyway.
Jonathan smiled and added,
You do know we're in Italy, right?
Okay.
Jacob didn't seem disappointed.
Since we're in Italy, can we get a pizza?
Jonathan smiled. He was used to questions from the children not being linked together, but it still seemed funny to him.
You know, pizza in Italy isn't quite like pizza in the United States.
Jonathan put his hand on Jacob's head.
But if that's what you want, then sure.
Cool. I mean...
Cheerio, Father.
Jacob turned and walked out of the room. Jonathan just stared as Jacob left the room. His mind was filled with one thought.
Sam.
Jacob reminded Jonathan of the way Samantha often communicated. She would ask a stray question and then hit you with what she really wanted. She'd even make you part of the con. Jonathan sat down on the leather sofa.
Sam,
he thought. A little while later, Rebecca made her grand entrance into the main living room. She gracefully moved about the room as if she were royalty. This was not unusual for Rebecca. In fact, to Rebecca, she was royalty.
Finally, my time has come,
she thought.
I'll finally be graced with the presence of His Eminence the Pope.
Chapter 53. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. She was speechless, which was not a word that would normally describe Rebecca. She stood in awe with her mouth agape and eyes open wide. The others were impressed, but none more than Rebecca. She had never seen anything like it, even in her wildest dreams. She was pleased, very pleased indeed.
Rebecca?
Nana whispered softly because of the echo in the marble room.
Are you coming, dear?
Everyone had walked past Rebecca as she gazed at the gorgeous ceiling. One of the archivists laughed quietly as she watched the spectacle. She had seen this a time or two before. Since 1610, the overwhelming beauty of the Vatican's secret archives had captivated many an individual. The archivist picked up a small postcard from the table nearby and walked over to Rebecca, placing the card in front of the girl's eyes. She then slowly lowered the card as Rebecca's eyes became fixed on it.
Here you are, darling. You can take it with you.
Thank you,
Rebecca said with a smile on her face.
Yes, thank you,
Nana added with a smile.
Come, Rebecca. The others are waiting for us.
Rebecca followed Nana down the hallway to a small office into which her father and her brothers had just disappeared. The waiting room, if it could be called that, was small but heavily decorated. There were many paintings on the wall that showcased a small part of the extraordinary accumulation of art and other fine collectibles held by the Vatican. The boys immediately found a place to sit among the 7 ornate chairs in the seating area. The receptionist's desk was antique and very beautiful. Jonathan also noted that it was a very clean and organized desk. He said,
"Hello, I'm Special Agent Jonathan Sett from the FBI. I have an appointment to see Angelina Giordano."
Jonathan didn't bother to show his badge. The receptionist, Renee Legrand, was a middle-aged woman with pinned-up red hair and black-rimmed glasses that rested at the end of her nose. She smiled politely as she looked at the rest of Jonathan's family. As she replied, she pushed her glasses to a higher position on her nose.
Yes, Agent Sett. Miss Giordano is expecting you. I will let her know that you are here.
The boys heard her accent and looked at each other. That's a good one to imitate, they thought. Rebecca knew what they were thinking because she was thinking the same thing. Mimicking the people with whom they came in contact helped with their language studies. Knowing a language was only half of the battle. Getting the accent down was what took skill, and they had mad skills, as the boys would put it. Chapter 54. Location: Ephesus. Time: approximately AD 100.
Delivered by an angel, flowing from God.
The apostle continued.
The angel will assist them on their journey, help them to find the correct path, and the path they find will cross the path of the chosen one.
The apostle paused to catch his breath.
And the chosen one will be reunited with her family.
Zia stopped writing and lifted his head.
An angel,
he repeated softly. He was again intrigued. Chapter 55. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Agent Sett, it is a pleasure to meet you. Please, won't you come into my office?
A beautiful woman had appeared in the doorway. Jonathan looked up from the brochure he was reading. His heart skipped a beat, and his mind came to a grinding halt. It was as if there was a glow surrounding her. Her long brunette hair fell over her shoulders. Her eyes were like beautiful windows filled with light and power. A beautiful diamond cross rested on her neck. She was captivating, and something in his soul jumped. He hadn't felt this way since Samantha.
Dad,
Rebecca said, giving him a nudge.
Oh, yes, hi. I'm Jonathan Sett.
He managed to stumble through a fragment of a sentence.
Dad, she knows who you are. She just said your name.
Rebecca was brutal at times. Angelina smiled and asked,
And who are these lovely children?
Well,
Jonathan was mentally alert again after Rebecca's insightful comment.
this is my lovely daughter, Rebecca.
Jonathan gave Rebecca the "you're gonna get it when we get home" look. Rebecca smiled and stood up.
Nice to meet you. Will you be escorting us to see the Pope?
She asked politely. Jonathan continued before Rebecca could get on a roll.
And these are my 2 sons, Matthew and Jacob.
The boys waved.
And this is our nanny, Nana.
Nice to meet you,
Nana said as she stood up to shake Angelina's hand.
It is a pleasure to meet all of you,
Angelina said, smiling. Then she turned to her receptionist and instructed her to assist the children and Nana with whatever they needed.
Please, Agent Sett, come in and have a seat.
Jonathan entered the office behind the beautiful angel, then turned to the children and gave them the behave and don't get in trouble look. As the door closed behind them, Angelina complimented Jonathan on his beautiful family.
How do you ever manage?
She asked as she took off her reading glasses and set them on her desk. Jonathan noticed that she also had a very neat and tidy desk. He liked that. He felt it showed an aspect of a person's character. Of course, he wasn't here to analyze Miss Giordano. Or am I? He thought. Jonathan smiled and replied,
They're good kids. I take them everywhere I go. And Nana, of course.
I wouldn't think that a man with your job description would want to have his children travel with him.
She realized how this must sound.
I'm sorry, it's not my place to...
Jonathan interrupted her to say,
It's okay. After my wife was killed, I promised myself that I would always be there for my children and keep them near me. I couldn't bear to lose another one of my children. So I taught them everything they need to know to protect each other. They're a team. They have the hearts of saints and minds of peace-loving warriors.
Jonathan realized that once again, he was sharing part of his life with someone he had just met. There was an awkward moment of silence as the two stared at each other.
Okay then, let's help you find your daughter,
Angelina replied to break the silence. Things were getting restless in the waiting room. Rebecca was ready for her meeting with the Pope. And if no one was going to help her, she would have to help herself.
I have to go to the bathroom,
she announced. The boys would not have thought it possible to make such an announcement in such a regal way. But it was Rebecca. If it could be done, she could do it.
I have to go to the potty too,
Matthew chimed in.
We don't say potty anymore, do we, Matthew?
Nana hastily corrected him.
No, ma'am, but I really have to go,
he replied.
I'll take him, Nana.
Matthew thought Rebecca was being unusually nice. Nana agreed with a nod.
Come straight back, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
They both replied.
Which way to the facilities?
Rebecca asked the receptionist, who had become distracted and was busy looking at something on her screen.
Sorry?
She said.
The restrooms.
Rebecca clarified politely.
Oh, of course. It's to the left and then take a right at the end of the long corridor.
The receptionist replied.
Thank you,
Rebecca said. As Rebecca and Matthew left the room, the receptionist turned to Nana and said,
Such lovely children.
After which she realized that she had not offered Nana anything to drink.
I'm sorry. Where are my manners? Would you like any tea or coffee?
Oh, how kind of you,
Nana replied.
Coffee, if you please.
I'll get it right away. Cream and sugar?
she asked.
Yes, please, thank you.
Nana said, smiling. Chapter 56. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Mrs. Giordano.
Please, call me Angelina.
She smiled before adding,
And it's Ms.
Of course, Angelina.
Jonathan smiled back.
I've been going over the police reports that you were kind enough to send to me.
He managed to find his way back to his FBI personality.
I need to know more about this tattoo, and I need to know more about how these men are related.
Unfortunately, I don't know any more than you do about the others. But I can tell you anything you want to know about Father Dominique de Chenario, my predecessor, my friend.
Angelina's voice gave way to her feelings.
I know this may be hard for you, but can you tell me about his life away from here?
He was a saint, always helping people, always giving,
she replied.
Did he have any enemies?
Jonathan continued.
None that I am aware of,
she said.
Everyone loved him. Everyone,
Angelina emphasized.
It just doesn't make sense.
Jonathan looked up from his notepad and caught Angelina's eyes.
The only real clue I have in the abduction of my daughter is this tattoo.
He paused briefly to consider his words.
Why would a man so well respected by everyone have the same tattoo as the man who kidnapped my daughter?
I'm telling you, he was incorruptible. Father Dominique dedicated his entire life to this archive because it mattered to him, just like everything in his life mattered. It has to be a coincidence.
Angelina sounded passionate.
I could see it being a coincidence if the tattoo was common. But I've been searching for this tattoo for 7 years, and until this recent string of murders, I have only seen it once.
Jonathan paused, not wanting to seem demanding.
You were very close to him, weren't you?
Jonathan asked softly.
Yes,
she answered. Jonathan noticed a tear in her eye.
I'm sorry. I know how it feels to lose someone close to you.
Does it get any easier?
She asked, grabbing a tissue from the box on her desk. He replied,
God is wise. He knows what we are going through, and he is with us through it all.
Angelina nodded, feeling reassured. A godly man, she thought. Returning to the case, Jonathan said,
Angelina, we have to figure out how Father Dominique is connected to this and how the other murder victims are connected to him. Do you know if he knew any of them?
I didn't even know there were other victims until I found his files,
she answered.
And that brings up another question. Why did he have these files anyway?
Jonathan was impressed. Now Angelina had become the investigator.
And why do you keep saying they were murdered?
Angelina inquired.
The police reports say suicide or accidental death.
I contacted all of the investigating officers. There were details left out of each of the reports. Although they can't confirm murder, the investigating officers all suspected foul play, just as you did.
Jonathan watched to gauge her response.
Oh my,
Angelina replied, putting her hand to her mouth.
All of them?
Yes,
Jonathan replied.
Each of the victims was described just as you described your mentor, outgoing, helpful, and a productive citizen.
Nothing about this makes sense,
she said.
As I mentioned, other than that, the only common thread is this tattoo,
Jonathan said as he moved forward in his seat.
And like I said, I've been searching 7 years, and until now, I've only seen it once. And when I say that I've been searching, I mean I've used the resources of the FBI, Interpol, MI6, the CIA, NCIS, and Israeli Mossad. I've used my friends in the Republic of China and in Japan. I used agents in Russia as well. No one has ever seen this tattoo.
Jonathan's speech was picking up momentum.
I have to wonder, though, why didn't your predecessor contact me? I've been asking the Vatican for information on this tattoo for a very long time. He obviously had the letters.
I don't know how to answer that question, but I can take a guess. The Vatican has one of the most extensive libraries in the world. Maybe the answer has been here all the time. We have more information about things that people don't know about than any other place on the planet does.
She seemed empowered.
I'll start searching the archives today. That is my job. They can't stop me from doing that, can they?
What do you mean?
Jonathan asked.
Well, let's just say that I was asked not to spend too much time getting involved with the FBI. The Vatican doesn't really like bad publicity, and any death related to a suicide or murder would not be good publicity.
She sighed and stood up to look out of her window.
But since I'm being let go anyway, I will see what I can find and contact you later. Where are you staying while in Rome?
Let go?
Jonathan asked.
That's probably a conversation for another time. Let's just say that I'm not next in line to replace my predecessor, and my current position is a temporary one at this time,
she said. Jonathan thought her reply was a bit cryptic, but he didn't press. He was intrigued by the suggestion of another conversation. He wrote the name of his hotel down on a small piece of paper. As she took it from him, he said,
Perhaps we could discuss it over coffee before I leave Rome.
It's a date then,
she replied with a smile. They were interrupted by the intercom on Angelina's desk.
Miss Giordano, there seems to be a problem with some missing children.
Renee didn't seem frantic at all. Jonathan's head dropped. Angelina answered.
We'll be right there, Renee.
And she and Jonathan rushed to the door. Chapter 57. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Lieutenant Rosso, there is an unauthorized entry in the Chiasca camera.
The Swiss guard at the monitoring station called over the radio to the lieutenant on duty. The Chiasca camera was also known as the Camera di Documenti Proibiti, which translates as the Chamber of Forbidden Documents. It was named Chiasca Camera after the person who restricted the use of the room. Agostino Chiasca was an archivist of the Holy Roman Catholic Church from 1891 to 1893 and a prefect of the Vatican Secret Archives from 1891 to 1892. It was Chiasca, or likely someone under his charge, who declared the room forbidden to all eyes other than the highest levels of the Vatican leadership.
Send someone to check it out immediately and report back to me. I'm sure it is a false alarm. No one can get into that room.
The lieutenant replied. He wasn't accustomed to worrying about things unless he was certain the situation called for worry. Even then, he simply handled the situation instead of worrying.
Yes, sir. I have already dispatched the men.
The guard replied over the radio.
That last room wasn't it. I'm sure the Pope is in one of these rooms,
Rebecca whispered. She didn't want to be caught before she found the Pope. In fact, she didn't want to be caught at all. She was sure the Pope would be delighted to see her.
We'll have tea or whatever popes drink these days,
she thought.
Come on, Matthew. Let's try down this hallway.
As they traveled through the beautiful halls of the Vatican's secret archive, they stumbled upon a wonderfully ornate door.
Surely this is it. It has to be. This is a door worthy of a pope,
Rebecca thought.
Look, it's open.
Rebecca pulled at Matthew.
Nana's gonna be mad if we don't get back, Rebecca.
Matthew worried that he had bitten off more than he could chew, leaving with Rebecca. They had been gone for a while.
Look, I came here to see the Pope, and I am going to see him. Now let's go.
She pulled at Matthew again.
Besides, the door is already open.
Okay.
Matthew gave in. He also wanted to see the Pope, but only to say that he had, not to talk with him or anything. He didn't want the Pope asking him if he'd been a good boy or anything like that. After they quietly entered the room, they saw a man in a brown jacket leaning over a large desk. He was softly repeating the same thing over and over, as if trying to commit it to memory. They also heard groaning coming from inside the room. They looked at each other and nodded, which meant keep going. As they peeked around the corner, they saw two men dressed like the people on playing cards lying on the floor. They recognized the uniforms as those of the Papal Swiss Guard. They ducked back around the corner so that the man in the brown jacket would not see them. Then they heard a guard's voice come over the radio.
Can you give me a status report?
The voice asked.
Report, please.
We'd better go get Dad,
Rebecca said. But as she turned around, her arm knocked over a book. The man at the table heard the noise, turned, and saw the two children.
Way to go, Rebecca,
Matthew said.
Oopsie,
she replied. Rebecca and Matthew turned to look at the man. His eyes were blood red, like a man possessed by a demon. He took a step toward them, grabbing a bloody knife from the table. As Rebecca and Matthew stood up, they could see a third guard on the floor. All of the guards were covered with blood. Had this maniac overpowered all three?
I think we're in trouble, Matthew,
said Rebecca. What she didn't say out loud was,
what chance do we have against a crazy man that just took down 3 members of the Papal Swiss Guard?
Rebecca, go get Dad,
Matthew demanded.
I'm not leaving you here,
she replied. The red-eyed maniac lunged at Matthew but was too slow.
You're gonna have to do much better than that, old Red Eyes.
Matthew taunted the beast of a man. Normally, his heckling would make a person crazy and cause them to not think clearly.
But in this case,
Matthew thought,
the guy is already crazy.
Matthew jumped onto the table and motioned for the maniac to try again. Matthew was well within striking distance, but he needed to relieve his attacker of his knife before attempting to relieve him of his consciousness. As he attacked, the maniac played right into Matthew's plan. Matthew executed a flawless backflip to avoid the attack, and the man drove his knife straight into the wooden table.
Now!
Matthew yelled. Rebecca swung the large wooden candle holder she had found as hard as she could, breaking it over the attacker's head. The red-eyed man fell to the ground.
That was too easy,
Matthew said to Rebecca.
Easy?
Rebecca replied.
That guy was crazy and scary.
That's not what I mean. There is no way that the red-eyed freak took out 3 Swiss guards.
He was about to explain why this was true, but the look on Rebecca's face told him he was in trouble.
Doc!
She screamed. Out of the shadows, a figure flew at Matthew. Thanks to Rebecca's warning, he had time to dive out of the way, nearly landing on one of the injured Swiss guards.
Run.
The closest guard managed to grab Matthew's arm and utter the single word.
Don't worry.
Matthew smiled.
They don't know what they are in for. I was just waiting for the odds to be a little more even.
The assassin was now in the open. Matthew jumped to his feet and positioned himself between Rebecca and the assassin.
Give up now, and you won't get hurt.
Matthew had always wanted to say that. He motioned to his sister and said,
Rebecca, get out of here.
Not happening, little brother,
she replied.
I'm not little. I'm almost as tall as you,
he argued.
Almost still means littler,
she shot back.
It doesn't matter how small I am. I can still kick this ugly guy's butt, and I don't need you around to do it,
Matthew replied. Their argument was interrupted by the assassin.
Foolish children, I would have spared your lives, but now I think otherwise.
The assassin's voice was cold and dark.
Yeah, we get that a lot,
Rebecca announced as she moved out from behind her brother. Chapter 58. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Rebecca is probably searching for the Pope,
Jonathan said to Nana.
I'm sure of it. She hasn't gone too far.
Just then, a group of Swiss guards went storming past the door.
That's not good,
Jacob said.
Get me the captain of the guard. This is Angelina Giordano.
Angelina said into the phone on the receptionist's desk. She had called the direct number of the captain of the guard, where Lieutenant Rosso was currently handling the emergency.
What is happening?
She asked. After a few seconds, her face took on a worried look.
Someone has broken into the Chiasca camera, and they can't contact the guards who were sent to investigate the alarm.
She whispered to Jonathan. Then, into the phone, she said,
Lieutenant, 2 children are missing. Please notify your men to be on the lookout for them. Thank you, Antonio.
I have a bad feeling about this. Where is this Chiasca room?
Jonathan asked. Chapter 59. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Rebecca, see if you can help that guard.
Matthew didn't want his sister in this fight. Rebecca nodded. But as she moved toward the bleeding guard, another figure came out of the shadows and knocked her off of her feet with a hard kick to the ribs.
Rebecca!
Matthew yelled as he moved to her defense. He flew over a table, attacking the assassin with a flurry of attacks and knocking him to the floor. The other assassin started toward Matthew, but Rebecca, back on her feet, met him halfway.
Not today, Shadow Man,
she said.
Kill her?
The shadow leader called out. Rebecca wasn't going to get caught off guard twice. She knew there were other shadows in the room. She swept the floor and quickly took out the shadow at her side. She grabbed a book and threw it toward Matthew as hard as she could.
Incoming!
She yelled. Matthew ducked, and the book hit one of the shadows in the head. The 2 young dragon-trained siblings regrouped in the middle of the room, near the injured Swiss guard.
This room is getting crowded fast,
Rebecca said, looking at her brother, and once again, they nodded to each other. This time it meant, stay strong.
Help is coming,
whispered the Swiss guard. He raised his hand to show that he was holding his radio and it was transmitting everything.
Where are these guys coming from?
Rebecca asked.
I can feel them, but I can't see them,
Matthew said.
I've got an idea. Follow me,
Rebecca said. She started for the door with Matthew close behind her. Jumping over a railing, she delivered a stunning kick to a shadow man in front of her. As she landed, another shadow grabbed her arm, and as he raised his weapon to deliver a fatal blow, Matthew arrived with a dragon kick that relieved him of his blade. As the knife flipped in the air, Matthew landed between his sister and the attacking shadows. He grabbed the knife from the air and threw it at the shadow leader, who now was moving toward the injured guard. The shadow leader caught the knife, but it was enough to distract him.
Hey, goofball! Come get some!
Matthew yelled.
Pick on someone standing up, why don't ya?
The leader turned and started toward him. Matthew had everyone's attention.
Go, Rebecca!
Matthew yelled. With a mighty leap, Rebecca reached her objective. She turned on the overhead lights in the room, and the children saw something unbelievable. The attackers retreated to the shadows of the wall, and with a loud screech, they were gone. Before they could say anything, the Swiss guard arrived, bursting into the room with weapons drawn.
Halt!
They yelled.
Don't shoot!
Rebecca said with a sense of urgency. The guards started to lower their weapons but heard a moan from behind the children and raised their weapons again. The injured guard gasped for air as he struggled to say,
Amico. Amico.
Chapter 60. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. As the medical technicians carried the injured guard and the bodies of his partners out of the room, the captain of the guard walked up to Jonathan.
Don't be too hard on them. The guard says that they saved his life and fought off several intruders. In fact, we owe them a debt of gratitude. They are, as it seems, heroes.
The captain had returned to the Vatican in time for the conclusion of the emergency. He was a seasoned officer with a strong sense of duty. Some reasoned that he would be in charge of the Vatican's security as long as the Vatican needed security. Jonathan smiled as he thought.
How many times have I heard that before?
The captain recognized the forced smile of a very angry father and decided to leave well enough alone. He then turned to Angelina, tipped his hat, and continued to follow the medical team.
Oh,
he said, looking back.
I will need to talk to the children. So, please do not leave Rome until I have.
Jonathan turned to Rebecca and her brother and gave them his "you're grounded for life" look. Rebecca recognized the look and tried to plead her case.
But...
Jonathan raised his finger.
Not a good idea right now, Rebecca.
He decided to take a deep breath and step back for a moment. He put his hand on her shoulder and said,
I'm just glad you are both okay.
Rebecca decided it was better to let everything play out.
I need to know what happened in there, but not here.
He turned to Angelina and asked,
Would it be possible to continue our meeting at my hotel?
Angelina was somewhat surprised at this.
It's been a long day,
Jonathan said.
I understand.
Angelina replied.
I'll gather some information and drop by in a few hours.
Thank you, Angelina. I appreciate everything you have done and everything you are doing,
Jonathan said. Then he turned and hugged his children. As they started down the hallway to exit the archives, Jacob leaned close to his brother and whispered,
Dude, I want details.
I heard that.
Jonathan said without turning or breaking his stride.
Do you want to be in trouble too, Jacob?
Chapter 61. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. As Jonathan, Nana, and the children headed back to their hotel, Angelina entered the Chiasca camera to survey the room and to try to decipher what had taken place. There were many rooms and vaults in the archive at the Vatican, including many that she had never thought of entering. This was one room that she had always wanted to enter, but had no access to.
How did the intruders get in here?
She wondered. All of the bodies had been removed, but there was still blood on the floor. On the table, there was a book with bloodstains on it. Angelina sighed.
Not on the books,
she said softly, concerned for the archive. Then something on the page caught her eye. It was the same symbol that Jonathan had brought to her, the same one that was on her mentor's arm. What was this book, and why was it in this room? Did Father Dominique know about it, or have access to this room?
Too many questions,
she thought. She recognized that the book was written in Greek. She gently turned to the cover.
The Prophecy of the Seventh Elizabeth,
she read aloud, translating.
What an odd title,
she thought. She looked at the bottom of the front cover and saw another symbol. This one she thought she recognized.
Oh my, could that be the mark of the Apostle John?
She thought.
Could this be...
The book was very old, but not the age of the Apostle John. But it was in Greek, and historians thought that he died in Greece, on the island of Patmos.
Maybe it is a copy,
she thought. Angelina looked at the bloody pages again. After a few minutes, she heard a noise behind her.
Signora, you cannot be in here. This room is off limits to everyone.
One of the Swiss guard had startled her.
These books are my responsibility,
she replied after a moment.
Sorry, Captain's orders.
The guard insisted.
Yes, of course. I'll talk to him myself.
Angelina knew that the guards would never disobey an order from the captain of the guard. She decided it was best to leave with the knowledge she had. She thanked the guard for his time and exited the room. The guard followed her out and locked the door behind him. Angelina made her way to the captain's office at the Central Guard Complex. The bodies of the 2 dead guards were being prepared to be taken to the hospital for autopsies. The intruder was still unconscious and was also being loaded into a medical transport vehicle.
Captain?
Angelina called out. The captain turned and smiled. He stopped his conversation and immediately walked over to her.
Angelina, you should not be witnessing such goings-on. Why are you here?
Your guards will not let me survey the Chiasca camera for damages to archive property,
she said in a kind but firm voice.
Ah, yes, I am sorry. No one will be able to access the room until I have cleared it. And as you can see, I am quite busy at this time. Perhaps in a day or two, yes.
Angelina was frustrated. She needed to see that book, but she would have to try another time. She needed to meet with Agent Set, and she still had research to do before then.
Fine, but please have someone contact me when I may enter.
But of course.
He turned and resumed his business. The captain of the guard was quite efficient. He was all business, but he always extended every courtesy. As Angelina walked away, the captain glanced back and then went on about his business. Chapter 62. Location: Agent Set's hotel room, Rome, Italy. Time: almost 7 years after abduction. As they arrived back at the hotel, the children were exhausted. Jacob was still in disbelief.
They came out of the wall?
Matthew answered.
Yes, the wall. Dude, the wall!
Jacob repeated.
Jacob, stop, please.
Jonathan was trying to sort everything out. His children's lives had just been threatened at the Vatican of all places.
Everyone sit down, please.
The children sat.
Let's go through this one more time. What was the old guy doing?
Rebecca answered.
He was reading a book.
Reading a book?
Jonathan repeated.
Yes, Dad, he was reading a book.
Matthew confirmed.
And an old guy with bloodshot eyes took out 3 members of the Swiss Guard?
Jonathan asked.
I don't think so. He was slow. We took him out with no problem.
Matthew said.
Dad, it was the shadows. They took out the guards.
The ninja shadow people that came out of the wall.
Jonathan said with hesitation.
Dude, the what?
Jacob started but let his words trail off after noticing his father's "don't say it" look.
Sorry,
he added.
When the captain gets here, let's leave that part out of the statement.
But Dad,
Matthew said.
That's the best part.
He stopped noticing his dad's "don't say it" look.
Sorry,
he added.
Okay, back to the book. Did you get a look at it?
Jonathan asked.
I think it was written in Greek, but the words didn't make sense.
Matthew answered.
I only saw it for a minute. There was a picture on the page, but I didn't get a good look at it.
Greek,
Jonathan thought.
How does that fit in?
Over the next half hour, they went over the story a few more times, trying to remember every detail of the day's events. Jonathan knew it was in some way connected to the priest. He just didn't know how.
A Vatican priest is killed, and now a break-in at the Vatican secret archives, where they store secret documents and where the priest worked. What is going on here?
He asked himself. Chapter 63. Location: Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
What have I done?
Angelina asked herself.
I'm supposed to take care of the books in the archive. This is crazy,
she thought. Angelina walked into her office and closed the door behind her. She hadn't even acknowledged her receptionist as she walked past her. She pulled her hand from her pocket and shook her head in disbelief. Earlier, she had carefully torn a page from the book, and she kept the guard from noticing when he asked her to leave the Chiasca camera.
I had to,
she reasoned with herself as she saw the bloodstain on the cloth page.
God, please forgive me.
She looked at her watch.
I had better leave now,
she thought.
I'll have to do the rest of the research online.
As she exited the building toward her car, the captain pulled up in front of her in a Vatican police car.
Hello again. I was just going to see your American FBI friend. Would you care to join me?
She hesitated for a moment but then agreed.
Let me put my briefcase in my car,
she said. She didn't want the captain to know about the document she was carrying. She could come back and get it later.
No. Just bring it with you. It's no problem, we have plenty of room.
The captain insisted.
Great,
she thought. She nodded and answered.
Thank you, Captain. It is very kind of you to offer.
Chapter 64. Location: Agent Set's hotel room, Rome, Italy. Time: 7 years after abduction. Rebecca and Matthew looked exhausted.
All right, you guys, go get ready for dinner.
Jonathan wanted to change the subject for a while, and he needed a chance to think. He didn't like interrogating his children, but he felt it was necessary. Nana's reminder that the children had not eaten was as good an excuse as any to step back from the situation for a while. As he made his way to the master suite, the doorbell rang.
Dude, we have a doorbell in our hotel room,
Jacob said in the distance.
Nana, could you get that, please?
Jonathan called as he sat on the bed.
I'll get it, Daddy,
Rebecca responded. As Jonathan's head hit the pillow, he heard the door open, followed by the muffled sound of voices.
Who is it, Rebecca?
Nana asked.
It's the captain from the Vatican,
Rebecca yelled. Jonathan cringed.
Why do they yell at the top of their lungs?
He thought. But before he had time to reply or peek around the corner and give her the "don't do that again" look, Rebecca added,
"And that really nice lady from the Vatican is here too."
Jonathan's heart skipped a beat. In all the confusion, he had completely forgotten that Angelina was coming by.
Why didn't I stop Rebecca from answering the door?
He thought.
Okay, Jonathan, get a grip. The worst is over. Besides, it's only a professional visit. What else could go wrong?
As the words went through his brain, he knew he had clearly underestimated his children.
Hey, Daddy,
Matthew chimed in.
It's the pretty lady from the archives, and she's with the cops. I mean, the polizia.
As if the volume alone wasn't enough, Matthew was also banging on the door. Jonathan sat up, grabbed his head with his hands, and calmly replied,
I'll be right there.
Nana arrived in the receiving room and quickly brought things under control. She showed everyone to a seat and made sure they were comfortable.
Do you think you can get me in to see the Pope?
Rebecca had positioned herself next to Angelina and delivered this question along with her signature move, the sugar smile.
Rebecca,
Nana said. But before Nana could reel Rebecca in, Angelina answered,
Well, you see, Rebecca, if you really want to see His Eminence, you should talk to that man right over there.
She pointed toward the captain and continued.
He is the Pope's personal head of security.
Rebecca's eyes lit up. Maybe this was finally her chance. As she set her sights on the captain, She noticed that her father was standing there, enjoying the show.
Rebecca, why don't you let me talk to the captain and Miss Giordano for a moment? You go with Nana. I'll call you when we need you.
Rebecca agreed and left quietly. She knew she'd get another chance before the captain left.
Okay,
she replied as she made her graceful exit.
You have such beautiful children, Jonathan,
Angelina said as she watched Rebecca leave the room.
They are so tall for their ages. I almost didn't believe you when you told me how young they are,
she added.
Thank you,
he replied.
And yes, they are taller than average.
He was thankful that she didn't ask what he was feeding them. He heard that question all too often.
They are sometimes a handful, but overall they are good and honest children.
Jonathan said this last part as he turned his attention to the captain.
So you see, Captain, if the children say that the door was unlocked when they got there and that they heard moaning when they opened the door, and they protected your guards from attackers, I have to believe them.
But of course,
the captain replied.
I must admit, I did think the story to be a bit, how do you say, over the top at first. But my guard's account of the events is as the children have stated.
The captain stood and moved toward the window.
In fact, my guard owes his life to your children.
Then why have you come to see the children?
Jonathan asked.
I have not come to see the children, Agent said. I have come to see you,
he replied.
Me?
It seems I may have some information for you and for Angelina.
The captain continued to stare out of the window. He could see the Vatican in the distance, the place that he had dedicated his life to protecting.
Information concerning the death of Father Dominique de Genario,
he added. Angelina was startled. She thought for sure that the captain suspected that she had taken the page from the book. But before she could express her surprise, there was a loud commotion in the passageway.
Stop where you are!
One of the guards yelled, and then there were 2 gunshots.
Nana, get the kids into the bedroom and keep them there,
Jonathan yelled.
Angelina, go,
he added, but she stood her ground.
Yes, sir,
Nana replied as she closed the door to the room and took the children into the bathroom where they would be safe. The captain noticed Jonathan had a gun in his hand, though he never saw him reach for it.
Wait,
the captain said.
You are not in America. My men and I will handle this.
Suddenly, an explosion rocked the floor, and the door to the suite blew off of its hinges. One of the guards slammed into the floor, covered in blood. The captain quickly checked to see if the guard had a pulse, and then looked up at Jonathan.
But it appears you have brought a piece of America with you.
Jonathan ignored the comment and moved toward the door, but the captain again stopped him.
Stay here. Protect Angelina and your family. This is most important,
he said with sincerity. Then he cautiously moved closer to the door. The captain could see the second guard was on the floor, but he was still alive and moaning in pain. Jonathan grabbed Angelina's arm and slowly led her into the room where Nana and the children were. He closed the door behind her and went to help the captain. The captain grabbed a piece of a broken mirror and used it to see around the corner and down the hallway. Jonathan had seen people make this mistake before. Whatever you see can also see you. He tried to motion to the captain, but couldn't get his attention. The captain made his move. He rounded the corner and opened fire. Jonathan tried to stop him, but was too late. He left Jonathan's line of sight. Jonathan counted 5 rounds. Then he heard the sound of bone being broken, followed by the unfriendly sound of silence, then the sound of a gun hitting the floor. Shortly after that, he heard a body falling to its knees and then to the floor. The captain was dead. There was no time for Jonathan to grieve for the captain. The attacker would be coming. Jonathan had a theory. He didn't know why he had the theory, but he did. He raised his gun and as the attacker entered his sights, he fired 2 rounds to confirm his theory. The attacker dodged the 2 bullets, as Jonathan had suspected.
We need to go help Dad.
Jacob was getting antsy.
You are not going anywhere, Jacob,
Nana insisted.
But we can help,
Matthew added.
Your father told you to stay here where it is safe, and this is where you will stay for now,
Nana demanded.
I'm sure your father and the captain can take care of the situation. Don't worry, everything will be okay.
Angelina tried to calm the children.
They aren't exactly worried about Daddy,
Rebecca explained.
They just want a piece of the action.
Angelina nearly jumped out of her skin when she heard 2 more gunshots, but she looked at the children, and they did not flinch. What remarkable children to be faced with danger and to be so unafraid, she thought. Now, standing face to face with the attacker, Jonathan slowly put his gun away. Although he wasn't aware of it, in the stairwells, 20 police officers were making their way to the 8th floor, while 6 more were in the elevator. In the distance, police sirens and fire alarms sounded. Though the sirens were getting closer, the sound of the sirens and the building's alarms were fading into the background as Jonathan gained focus. The attacker threw a flurry of fists aimed at Jonathan's upper torso, and Jonathan deftly blocked them all. The attacker was fast. The kick aimed at Jonathan's neck nearly got him, but Jonathan's time training with the 7 dragons was not in vain. Jonathan was efficient and quick-witted. He needed to slow the attacker down for a moment. With his foot, Jonathan launched the end table into flight. The attacker's punch tore loudly through the end table as if it were a wet paper towel, but the table had served its purpose. Matthew gave Rebecca a slight nod, and she knew what she must do. Rebecca broke out in tears.
Daddy, Daddy,
she mumbled as her head lay in her hands.
Rebecca, don't worry.
Nana's attention turned to Rebecca, as did the unsuspecting Angelina.
Everything will be okay, Rebecca. The police are on the way,
added Angelina. The sound of sirens was getting closer. Angelina and Nana didn't notice that the boys had left the giant bathroom where they were holed up for safety. Rebecca was effective, if nothing else. The attacker had not expected to receive a fight. He was accustomed to outmatching any opponent in terms of speed and skill. Still, the look in the attacker's soulless eyes and the number of death blows that he had tried to land told Jonathan that this hitman was not used to long fights. Jonathan hoped that this would be to his benefit, that endurance would be on his side. Jonathan's counterattack, however inefficient in bringing the match to a halt, achieved its purpose. He had caused the attacker to think instead of using his instincts. The attack continued, with the hooded man still seeking to end it quickly.
Efficient,
Jonathan thought, as he blocked each one of the man's 12 punches and kicks without breaking a sweat. It was as if he could see each move in slow motion. As the attacker's foot came up, Jonathan sensed it and countered. God was surely with him. His training with Master Tan and the 7 dragons had prepared him for many fights. Still, this opponent was undoubtedly the best he had ever been up against. Jonathan knew that his opponent wouldn't just lie down or run away. The hooded man could dodge a bullet after all. He would surely use that speed against Jonathan's attacks.
How do you shoot a man that can dodge a bullet?
Jonathan thought, and then he smiled. The hooded man came at him again, and this time Jonathan blocked all of his attacks but one. The one Jonathan had been looking for. The attacker, seeing a flaw in Jonathan's technique, grabbed him by the shoulder and started to throw Jonathan over his head. As Jonathan left the ground, he reached for his gun. He knew that he would leave the attacker's line of sight, and as he rose above the assassin, he fired a single round straight down into the hood-covered head of his attacker. The assassin's grip loosened, and Jonathan was able to land on his feet. The assassin's soulless eyes expressed surprise as he stood motionless for a moment before falling to the ground. Jonathan wasn't ready for what he saw next. As the assassin fell to the floor, Jonathan turned to see his two sons standing in the doorway. They had just witnessed him killing the assassin. His heart sank.
Drop the gun! Drop it now!
Several voices came from the doorway of the once beautiful hotel suite. Suddenly, the world around him was vivid again. Jonathan slowly set his gun on the ground.
Put your hands in the air,
said the officer in the hallway as he entered the room, followed by several others in full body armor. Jonathan did as he was told.
FBI,
he announced.
There are women and children on the premises, please.
Jonathan asked.
Do not shoot. My children are here.
Chapter 65. Location, Rome, Italy. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
They are still alive, Master.
From the shadows, a voice spoke softly with fear. It sounded like the evil assistant in a black and white horror movie. After a brief disapproving silence, he spoke again.
And...
he said. His voice squeaked, so Jarrod cleared his throat. In another room, separated by glass, the teacher could see his apprentice training. The teacher's deep, drawn-out voice filled the air, taking a few seconds to enunciate just one word.
And our assassin was killed,
Jarrod said quickly as he backed away. After all, the last messenger with bad news was never seen again. A body slammed against the glass directly in front of where Jarrod stood. The body seemed to pause for a moment before peeling itself off of the glass. As Jarrod stared into the lifeless eyes of the defeated opponent, the body fell to the ground. Now visible in the background was the well-formed, toned body of the teacher's apprentice, Jackson. The teacher gave Jackson an approving nod, and Jackson launched himself into the air. Although his near-lifeless opponent attempted to move out of Jackson's path, it was too late. Jackson's foot landed solidly on his opponent's body, removing what was left of its life. Jarrod trembled and turned his eyes back to the teacher.
Retrieve the assassin's body, and send a team of assassins to recover the information we seek.
The deep, snake-like voice paused briefly before saying,
See to it yourself. Do not fail me, Jarrod.
Yes, Master. I will do it myself.
Jarrod turned and exited with haste. Jarrod, a short, unappealing man whose name was loosely translated to cockroach, was not an assassin. Still, he was efficient, if nothing else. He always accomplished what he was sent to do, and somehow managed to survive in the process. Chapter 66. Location, Central Police Station, Rome, Italy. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
Why is this happening?
Angelina asked.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Jonathan replied.
I don't know.
Posto di polizia.
Matthew read on the sign above the door. Jacob was asleep, leaning on Nana, and Rebecca was at her father's side, as always.
It can't be a coincidence,
Angelina added.
The murders, the break-in at the Vatican, and the attack at the hotel.
I agree, but I don't see the connection.
Jonathan replied.
I mean, I know a connection exists, but I don't know what it is. So far, the only connection between the murders is the tattoo. And we still don't know what the captain wanted to tell us about Father Dominique.
Jonathan, look at this.
Angelina took the page out of her purse.
After you left the archives,
She paused as an officer walked by. Rebecca leaned in, and Matthew woke his brother up so that he could listen too. Angelina continued in a softer voice.
After you left, I went into the Chiasca camera and took this from a book before the guards escorted me out.
Hey, that's the same page the old guy was looking at,
Matthew announced.
Yes, Matthew, I believe it is.
Angelina was surprised but added,
Jonathan, look at the symbol on this page.
Jonathan's eyes lit up, as did Rebecca's.
Well, that connects the room to the tattoo, but why is this symbol in a book in the Vatican's archive?
Jonathan asked.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. The page is like a puzzle, or perhaps it's encoded or something. It just doesn't make any sense.
Angelina shook her head and handed the page to Jonathan.
There's more,
she continued.
I think the book is some kind of prophecy written by...
Matthew interrupted.
Daddy, what does that symbol mean?
I don't know, son, but it has something to do with a larger mystery,
he replied.
Daddy,
Rebecca said softly. Jonathan recognized something different in Rebecca's voice.
What is it, Rebecca? Are you okay, honey?
I've seen that symbol before.
Rebecca's voice trembled.
Are you okay, Rebecca?
Nana was worried about the look on Rebecca's face. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. Rebecca's mind was racing. Images of the past overwhelmed her. A hallway, her mother surrounded by angels, and a girl child. They were all images from the hospital where her mother had died, and her sister was born. She could clearly see 1,000 images in her mind, including those of her sister.
That's the birthmark on Elizabeth's shoulder.
Chapter 67. Location, Temple of Light. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
The battle,
Elizabeth said.
Tell me more about the battle.
Munir looked at her with curiosity.
I'm not worried,
she explained.
I'm just wondering why the battle is coming.
Elizabeth's life had been sheltered, or perhaps filtered from most of the world. She knew that there was evil. She had clearly been taught about evil in the world, and that evil didn't really need a reason to carry out evil actions. But Munir understood.
The prophecy tells us that the destroyer will come to upset the balance, to hurry that which must not be rushed.
Munir told her.
We believe that he is coming in an attempt to force the second coming of Christ, so that the many souls on earth that still need to be saved will not be saved.
And since I'm the chosen one...
Yes, Elizabeth, the prophecy says that we would protect you for a perfect number of years, and then the Shadow Warriors would arrive to precede the destroyer and bring war against the earth for another perfect number of years.
Is that why there are no shadows in the Temple of Light?
Elizabeth asked.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Munir answered.
This sanctuary is devoid of shadows.
But wouldn't you think that its name would give it away? Light.
Elizabeth asked, while making air quotes with her fingers. Munir laughed.
I too asked that question when I first arrived here a lifetime ago.
He laughed again before explaining.
The truth is, since there are no shadows here, no Shadow Warriors would ever be able to find the sanctuary's secrets. At least, not by themselves.
Secrets?
Elizabeth pressed.
I did not realize that interrogation skills were inherited through birth.
Munir replied, smiling. Elizabeth realized the irony of what he was saying and smiled back.
You see, Elizabeth, shortly after the 110 acres of the Stato della Città del Vaticano, the Vatican city-state, was created, the Temple of Light was also created. It was designed by the same designer, but built by us. The one thing that our designs share is the fact that the buildings in the Vatican City, or at least some of them, and this one, are tesseracts.
Tessa what?
Elizabeth asked.
Tesseracts.
Munir repeated.
Do you remember the television show you used to watch with Han Young-sun called Doctor Who?
Elizabeth nodded, and then her eyes lit up.
You mean we are in a TARDIS?
Munir answered.
Well, not exactly. We don't zoom around space or travel through time. Well, not exactly anyway. But do you remember how the TARDIS was smaller outside than it was inside?
Yes,
she answered.
A Tesseract is like that too.
Munir felt a sense of accomplishment having made it through the explanation.
But...
Elizabeth started as Munir's sense of accomplishment vanished.
But the Vatican was created in 1929. How could this technology have been around back then?
Elizabeth asked.
After all, the Doctor is from the future and another world.
You say that as if the people of the past were not as smart as the people who live today.
Munir said.
Have you forgotten the Book of Enoch?
Point taken.
Elizabeth replied.
However, you are correct, young lady. The Vatican State was created in 1929. This building and others within Vatican City were created long before, designed by Leonardo da Vinci.
Munir answered.
So, you're saying science built this place?
Elizabeth asked.
Well,
Munir replied.
You didn't think that God created scientists just so they could sit around and denounce him, did you?
Elizabeth and her mentor both broke out in laughter. Chapter 68. Location: Central Police Station, Rome, Italy. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Look, Officer Botticelli, if you call my office in the United States, they will tell you what you need to know and confirm everything I'm saying. Besides, we've all given our statements. Your people were on the scene when I killed the assailant. What more do you want from us?
Jonathan was tired of dealing with the local police. This wasn't his first time being interrogated instead of being the interrogator, and he didn't like it now any more than he did when he was held by the Japanese government all those years ago.
This is not the United States, where you can just kill several people and walk away like nothing happened.
The officer replied. His attempt at intimidation had not impressed Jonathan. The door opened. A man in a tailored blue suit walked in.
Special Agent said, you and your family are free to go, as is Miss Giordano. Please accept our apologies for detaining you.
The well-dressed man looked pointedly at Officer Botticelli, who was now standing with his mouth open and a confused look on his face.
Officer Botticelli, please return Special Agent Set's belongings and arrange for transportation to wherever he sees fit to go. See to it personally.
Yes, sir.
Officer Botticelli said as he regained his composure.
Agent Set, will you require any assistance in your ongoing investigation?
The suited man asked.
I'll keep your department informed as we proceed.
Jonathan replied.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Officer Botticelli will be at your disposal, Special Agent Set. Just let him know what you need. We will help in any way. Oh, and tell Director Ralston I said hello. God bless.
The man in the suit turned and left the way he had come.
Wow,
Jonathan thought.
Director Ralston gets 2 presents from me this Christmas.
By the time Jonathan reached the lobby area, Nana, Angelina, and the children were standing and waiting for him.
Daddy!
His children yelled and ran to hug him. Nana and Angelina came over as well. He hugged Nana and thanked her for watching the children. And then he turned and hugged Angelina, not thinking about what he was doing. As he looked at the smiles on the children's faces, he felt awkward.
Way to go, Dad!
Jacob gave Jonathan a thumbs up for successfully hugging a woman. Angelina smiled, as did Nana.
Let's get out of here,
Jonathan said.
To where, Daddy? The hotel room blew up, and there's the matter of all those bodies, and our front door isn't even a door anymore.
Rebecca said, before she realized that she wasn't being considerate, and that everyone was looking at her. She decided to stop talking. Jonathan looked at his boys. They had seen him kill a man today, something he was worried they would not likely forget.
Are you boys okay?
He asked. The boys nodded. Angelina suggested,
Listen, why don't you all come back to my house?
No, we couldn't impose on you.
Jonathan said.
We will arrange for another hotel.
Really, it's not a problem. I have plenty of room. And besides, I'm sure that no other hotel in Rome would have you after today's events.
She smiled, and so did Jonathan.
Plus, we have work to do, Special Agent.
Cool, it's decided then,
Rebecca announced.
We're off to Angelina's place. I'm sure she can invite someone over who can get me in to see the Pope.
Jonathan sighed and looked at Angelina.
You don't know what you're getting yourself into,
he said.
Maybe I do.
She replied with a smile.
Maybe I do.
Chapter 69. Location: Angelina Giordano's home, Rome, Italy. Time: almost 7 years after abduction.
Wow, you live here? This is better than our hotel. It looks like an art museum in here.
Rebecca's father gave her a "don't overdo it" look. So she decided not to ask if Angelina was rich.
Well, Rebecca,
Angelina replied,
I'm glad you like it. I do have a few pieces of art that I'm proud of.
Like these paintings by Tintoretto.
Matthew added.
Impressive, Matthew. How did you know who the artist was?
Nana made me. I did a book report on Italian artists, and Tintoretto was one of them. I like the St. Mark paintings from 1548.
Matthew smiled as he held everyone's attention.
What good is it to study so hard if you can't show it off every once in a while?
He thought.
I thought you said you didn't understand any of those paintings,
Rebecca said.
Rebecca!
Matthew gave her the "be quiet" look, although it didn't quite work the way it did when his father gave her that look. Rebecca decided to show off as well, so she walked over to a glass case with an ancient cylinder inside.
This cylinder mentions King Nebuchadnezzar. Shouldn't it be in a museum or something?
Wow,
Angelina said as she looked at Jonathan.
Most children your age, Rebecca, wouldn't know how to read ancient Babylonian. Jonathan, your children are amazing.
Okay, you guys, it's been a very long day. Let's figure out where you are going to sleep.
Jonathan decided he'd better put an end to the discussion before it got out of hand. And he noticed that Jacob wasn't talking as much as usual. He thought he had better have a talk with the boys so that they didn't have to sort through the details of seeing him kill a man. Jonathan knew that the devil had a way of twisting things in your mind. He wanted to put the day's events into perspective, and he wanted to make sure that he prayed with the boys now.
Nana, Rebecca,
Angelina called.
Could you help me get the linens ready for everyone?
But of course,
Nana said. She was delighted to help.
Come, Rebecca.
Rebecca was not delighted to help, but went along anyway.
Have a seat, boys.
Jonathan motioned toward the couch and sat down as well.
Listen,
he said.
About what happened today. Or what you saw happen.
Daddy, we know you had to kill that man,
Jacob said.
Yeah, Dad, he killed all of those police officers and he would have killed us all,
Matthew added.
We talked earlier, and we just wanted to make sure you were okay,
Jacob said.
We know you would never take a life if you didn't have to, especially without making sure they were saved first,
Matthew added. His Uncle Rick had told him this once.
Daddy,
Jacob said. Overwhelmed by the blessing he was now receiving, Jonathan was almost in tears.
Yes.
He cleared his throat.
Yes, Jacob.
We wanted to pray for you if that's okay,
Jacob continued. The two boys placed their hands on their father's head, and Jacob began to pray.
Dear God our Lord, our Father in heaven, there is no other name above yours. You are El Elyon, God Most High, you are El Shaddai, God Almighty, and again today, you have shown us your tender love and mercy. You have saved our father and brought him home to us once more. Thank you, Lord, for surrounding us with your arms so that we were protected from evil. Thank you, Lord, for saving us from the fowler's snare. Thank you, Lord, for sending your angels to lift our father into the air so that he did not even scratch his foot against a stone.
When Angelina came in to tell the boys that she had placed towels and toothbrushes for them in the bathroom, she heard them praying. So she bowed her head and listened in agreement. Matthew said,
Heal his heart today, Lord, as he was forced to take another's life, an evil soul that killed many and tried to kill us. Renew Daddy's youth like the eagle that soars in the sky. And thank you, Lord, that you have brought a new friend into his life.
The brothers both said,
In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Jonathan was beside himself. He had been worried about how the boys felt all this time, and they were only worried about him. He was at peace. He thanked God for his family, and the three hugged for a time. As Angelina turned to leave them alone, she realized that Nana and Rebecca were beside her, nearly in tears. The three of them hugged as well. Matthew broke the silence.
I'm hungry. I feel like I haven't eaten in a year.
Just like that, the moment was over.
Me too,
added Jacob.
Me 3,
added Rebecca.
Okay, I think I promised someone a pizza anyway,
Jonathan said.
Yes!
All three children paraded around the room. Soon they grabbed Nana and Angelina and added them to the parade.
It's nice to see the children happy and interacting with Angelina,
Jonathan thought. There was definitely something special about her. He watched for a time as the children interacted with her, and he was at peace. After the group had demolished 3 large pizzas, the children settled down to get some much-needed rest. The polizia were nice enough to bring the family's luggage and other items from the hotel. Jonathan changed into something less formal, as did Angelina, but there was still investigative work to be done. Many details didn't fit, and many questions were still unanswered.
Angelina, can I see the page from the book again?
Sure.
She handed it to him.
Does that look like a partial fingerprint to you?
He pointed to a bloodstain on the corner of the page.
Yes, it does. Do you think it belongs to the red-eyed man?
Angelina asked.
That's a good possibility. Do you have a fax machine?
Jonathan asked.
Sure, over there in the corner.
She pointed toward it. Jonathan felt a little silly. Normally, he would have noticed a huge fax machine, but he was admittedly having problems concentrating on anything other than Angelina.
So it is,
he replied.
Would it be okay if I...
Sure,
she said with a smile.
Do you need help?
Jonathan smiled.
Okay, you caught me. I am having a little trouble concentrating.
He placed the document in the machine, dialed the number, and pressed send.
At least I'm not the only one,
she replied.
I know we have a lot to take care of, but I just wanted to say that I enjoyed tonight.
Jonathan admitted, letting his guard down for the first time in years.
So have I. It's almost like all the chaos from earlier didn't even happen, other than the fact that all of it did.
She smiled and met Jonathan's gaze. The whole world became quiet, and their hearts connected. But then the world caught up with them as Jonathan's phone rang. They snapped back into the world, which they had managed to forget for just a second.
Yes, Rick.
Jonathan answered his phone but kept his gaze on Angelina. She was as beautiful as an angel.
Wow, that was quick,
Jonathan said to Rick.
He got a hit on the print.
Jonathan whispered to Angelina.
Yeah, send it to me. The number is...
He looked at Angelina, expecting her to give him the phone number.
It's on the fax you sent him,
she whispered as the fax machine started ringing.
Right. You're sending it now because the number was at the bottom of the fax.
Jonathan put his head down.
Yes, I'm okay,
he said to Rick.
Yes, I'm fine, I know.
Who is this Angelina? What has she done to you?
Angelina thought she heard Rick say on the other end of the line.
She's the person who's doing your job better than you. That's who she is.
Jonathan said jokingly. He finally regained his composure.
She was sent from heaven to guide me on my way.
Rick said something, but Angelina couldn't make it out.
Okay, Rick. Thanks, my friend. I'll call you and keep you up to date.
He added,
And please tell the boss thanks for getting the Italian police off my back.
Angelina heard Rick respond,
Well, let's just leave him out of it. What he doesn't know won't hurt him.
I'm not even going to ask. Talk to you tomorrow, Rick. Bye.
Jonathan hung up the phone.
Did he just say, never mind?
She smiled.
I don't want to know.
The machine beeped, alerting them that it had successfully received a fax. Jonathan grabbed it.
Well, we've identified old Red Eyes. Chester Helms, white male, age 48, abducted from his home in Cheshire, England about 3 months ago. And get this, our friend Chester is a cryptologist.
Well, I wonder what a cryptologist would be doing in a secret Vatican room reading an encrypted secret book,
Angelina said rhetorically.
I think we're going to have to talk to our friend Chester from Cheshire,
Jonathan replied.
Can we come, Daddy?
Rebecca asked. Jonathan and Angelina almost jumped out of their skins.
How long have you three been sitting there?
Jonathan asked.
For a while,
they said.
A short while?
Angelina asked.
No. A long while.
Rebecca said as Jonathan put his hands on his head.
Back to bed, you three. We'll figure it out in the morning.
Jonathan yawned.
We'll talk in the morning too?
Jonathan awkwardly said to Angelina. She nodded. As Jonathan went into the living room with the boys to finally get some rest, Matthew asked,
Daddy, why didn't you let me talk to Uncle Rick? I wanted to tell him how
Matthew!
Jonathan mumbled as he quickly went to sleep. Chapter 70. Location, Saints Hospital, Rome, Italy. Time, almost 7 years after abduction.
0400 hours.
The medical examiner noted in his log. Dr. Rotelli had performed more than his fair share of autopsies. He was very good at what he did. A very precise man, as his friends often describe him. He was especially good at documenting his findings. While performing the autopsy of John Doe, or corpse number 10503, he had already noticed several oddities. In fact, he found so many that he had decided to call in an assistant to help accurately catalogue everything. Corpse 10503 had one leg that was slightly shorter than the other, bridgework in the mouth, healed wounds, and healed fractures. All of these were interesting, but they were not the most interesting observations. On that list so far was the presence of facial scarring, the type that is not visibly noticeable, but that indicated plastic surgery. In fact, Dr. Rotelli noted that corpse 10503 seemed to have had multiple surgeries on his face. It appeared that the same features were changed several times. Next on the list, the doctor noted the corpse's eyes. They were completely black. The iris, the pupil, and all the other parts of the eye were black. He had previously noted that the eyes were two soulless sockets, but due to his nature, decided to remove the note and only put the facts into the report. However, the assistant added the note back in because the eyes freaked him out. He also included the presence of a tattoo on the upper left forearm. The tattoo, he noted, was one large black circle with the outline of an E and another symbol inside of it. The letters were hard to make out, however, because they were also black, and the black circle was inside flames. The tattoo seemed worn. The cause of death, Dr. Rotelli noted, was a gunshot wound to the head, which effectively scrambled the brains of corpse 10503. The doctor noted that there were 12 other items of interest on the body that should have killed corpse 10503, or at least could have given the corpse reason to be dead long before.
So why was he still alive, only to be killed by a gunshot wound to the head?
Dr. Rotelli wondered. 6 floors above Dr. Rotelli and corpse 10503 was the Polizia Centro di Detenzione. If a detainee needed medical attention, he was brought to this floor, which was under guard day and night. And tonight, there were extra guards, Swiss guards to be specific. They were assigned to watch over the man who had recently been identified as Chester Helms. There was no report at this time about how he had come to be in a secret room within the Vatican's secret archive. However, rumor had it that the FBI and the CIA were involved somehow. For now, that was the report that the guards stationed at the hospital had received. Fortunately, the media had not become aware of the situation yet. One of the local policemen decided to take a quick break.
Can I get the two of you anything while I'm gone?
He asked the 2 Swiss guards. They politely answered no, so the policeman went on about his business.
Suit yourselves,
he said under his breath as he turned and walked away. At the end of the hallway, the police officer waited for the elevator, occasionally looking back over his shoulder at the Swiss guards.
Finally,
he thought as the doors opened and he walked in. He managed a forced smile as he turned and looked in the direction of the other policeman. At the same time, he reached for the elevator button. When he pushed the button for the first floor, the elevator exploded, erupting into flames and shards of metal. The explosion shook the building and knocked the guards off their feet. Some were blown against the wall, and some were impaled with metal from the exploding elevator. Someone screamed out in pain. Smoke and dust filled the large open floor. Out of nowhere, several figures appeared. One of the guards tried to make it to his feet and draw his weapon, but the assassin was too fast for him. One swing of his sword ended the guard's life. A similar fate fell upon each of the other guards. From behind the bodies of the fallen guards, Chester screamed like a madman. Dr. Rotelli and his assistant felt the building shake. From down the hall, they heard what sounded like an elevator crashing to the basement.
What is going on here?
Dr. Rotelli's assistant asked as he ran to the door. But before he received an answer, he heard a loud snap. As he turned, he saw Dr. Rotelli fall to the floor. His neck had been snapped from behind. Standing in his place was corpse 10503. That was the last thing the doctor's assistant Philippe saw.